there are moments of the game where like this is good? Question mark.
But I will be on my deathbed and I'll be
Thinking about that platform.
why? I could have been playing anything else.
It feels so good.
No.
You are get out of here. Throughout my whole playthrough, I was somewhere between bored and just mad.
This game, man. You can't just break the rules every screen.
How dare you, hamburger music? Like, I'm gonna take offense to that.
For some reason, this game like has a home in my brain and will never leave.
Fuck this game. I'm gonna beat it because I fucking hate it.
Every time I talk about this game, I sound insane. I need to do drugs. I'm a Birdman. The homing gun to shoot the lobsters.
Why are the blocks there? Why does anything exist, you know? Like, why does this game exist?
So you're trying to tell me that you think this is a joyless piece of shit?
I think this game is very, very good. One of the best games I played this year for sure.
No, dude.
All right, everybody. Hello and welcome back to Seriously Casual Video Game Book Club, episode 22. Woo! Where this time we are doing the PC game that everyone knows about and loves, Nox. We got the full gang back together. How's everybody doing this evening?
What up?
Yeah,
Happy.
we're
Great.
back.
Back and better than ever. Bigger than ever. But yeah, this
That's
was
probably true.
I saw this on the wheel when we got it, and I was like, "This is a real game. This is a video game."
What the hell is this?
And what is this? Colin, would you like to talk about why it is your pick? As I bring up some info about the game that I'm gonna start blabbing about in a little bit.
Sure. I have some info I can also go into. So when you do that, feel free to we can bounce some stuff off
Let's
each other. First of all, I just want to say that I don't appreciate your sarcasm when talking about this game. You know, oh, who's ever heard of this game? Yeah, well, screw you. Okay.
All I'm saying is, I went to the Wikipedia and I typed in Nox, and I ended up at atmospheric chemistry, nitric oxide.
And like a Latin words dictionary. Because did you guys know that Nox is? Sorry. Yeah. So I picked this game. So this is one of those games my dad was super hyped for when I was a kid. This was in a lineage of games in my childhood that he specifically was hyped for, and got us, my brother and I, into. And that was like games like it were like Diablo, this one of course, EverQuest, things like that. There are some other ones too. I also like played Darkstone and Revenant, both from like 1998, 1999, which were similar in nature to this game. So sort of like a childhood game. I remember playing it as a kid, but I was sort of like getting to that age of like 11 or 12 where games I played just weren't always magical. Like, so I don't have a great set of memories for this game because I didn't play it a whole lot. As everybody probably knows, Diablo 2 came out like just a few months after this, so I think for me as a kid back then, and also for like literally everybody else, Diablo 2 came out and just kind of like stood tall, shadowing over this thing. So I think it's pretty reasonable for me to not really have strong memories of it. But so I picked it because, like, honestly, I needed some games to pick. This is something I put on my list like back before we even started book club, and I was like, shit, I need some obscure ass game. And it can't be Simon's Quest because Chris already did that. So yeah, I picked Nox, and I think it's going to be a fun conversation. There's a lot to talk about here. Both well, I'll refrain from going any further. But,
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring up Diablo 2 because I booted this up and I was like, oh my god. Well, not so much Diablo 2, but I was like, hello, Diablo 1, and also a lot of Fallout and Fallout 1 and 2 look a little bit different, but they have that kind of feel like those early PC games. Like they just look like I'm dumb when it comes to it. Like, is this also isometric? Is that
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just like that look just immediately just harkens back to Fallout 1 and 2 and Diablo 1 and 2 to me. More so Diablo 1 for this.
Also the pre-rendered characters, like pre-rendered 3D.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Mhm.
huge character
For sure.
faces and stuff are very Fallout.
Yeah, but this was so the release was 2000. It was like right at the beginning of 2000. We survived Y2K to get Nox. It was in North America February 16th, 2000. 25 years ago. Good God.
What a way to start the millennium, boys.
I know. Hey, there's worse ways, maybe. But it was the developer was Westwood Studios, who didn't sound familiar, but I was like, I know they've made something else. They also made Command and Conquer.
Yeah. Back when this game came out, there were some pretty hot shit.
Yeah.
You know.
And also the Dune games, which I know a lot of people hark on about. I don't know if it's just weirdos, but like Dune weirdos. Chris, elaborate.
It's I've never played it. It's definitely a weirdo game. It's important.
Okay. No, I feel like I heard you mention it recently, but probably.
I was gonna start talking about spice.
We were talking about just like the first RTS. Like Dune 2 is cited as maybe the first RTS game.
Oh, it's neat.
Kind of started Command and Conquer, or predates Command and Conquer. Kind of kickstarted that whole thing.
On the topic of Westwood, sorry to interrupt you, Dan.
No, go ahead.
On the topic of Westwood, this game was not originally a Westwood IP, like something that internally Westwood was like, let's do this. It was a guy named Michael Booth in 1995 who started working on it sort of like as a side project, and then he managed to like recruit two other dudes working out of a garage as like they were developing like artificial intelligence for like the auto and defense industry, I think, if I'm not misremembering the excellent retrospective video I watched on this just for some background details. So it was like this dude's like dream project in college, and he like funded it with some like real adult work he was doing. And then he took it to computer games something or other in like San Francisco in like 1990 whatever 6, and got the attention of some guy from Westwood / Virgin Interactive, and so it kind of got brought into the Westwood fold via that.
That's pretty cool that like it's some dude's garage band video game, and some people were like, "Hey, this is pretty cool."
Like
some
a lot
people
of games were in the 90s.
Yeah.
I think he himself would probably argue, and there's a solid argument to it, that it would have been better if it had not been picked up by them, because it didn't go through like super crazy development hell or anything, and it came to fruition in 2000, so like it's not like it languished forever or anything, but it went through substantial from concept to execution, I'm gonna say concessions in what it wanted to do and be, which I think is like there's a level of that's normal, but also a level of because the Virgin Interactive was eventually acquired, I think, or like sold or whatever to EA, and EA's executives, there's like implication in like developer interviews years later and like books one of them wrote, long story short, that like EA really monkeyed around and pulled strings on this to like make it / not try to make it like a Diablo killer, and so they could never fully get away in like marketing and in legacy from this game being like, oh, it's just Diablo, dude, even though that was not the original idea.
EA interfering in development.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Even back in the olden days, go figure.
Yeah, it's when I heard that in that video, I was like, wow, that's new. Wait, no, it's not at all.
But like I do feel like it's unfortunate for Nox, like, and we all, well, okay, I'm not gonna say we thought it was a Diablo-like or like a Diablo killer, but some similarities to be drawn. But we've talked about how stupid that is, especially with Crusader of Senti. Like, that's a Zelda-like. It's like, is it?
Yeah.
Like Dark Soul or Dark Cloud being a Zelda-like. It's like, what are these people saying? Like, sometimes when a game just gets lumped in with other games, it's like, not really. Like, knee-jerk kind of, it must be like this.
It's the Cuphead of Diablo, Mario.
Exactly. It's
Exactly.
the Minecraft of Cuphead Diablo games.
Anyway, I have a whole bunch more I could say, but I'll try to sprinkle it in throughout so I'm not like monologuing. It's a really fascinating how it got from start to finish here, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I just got to say that I would really like to play Cuphead Diablo.
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. But so one thing I just want to go over because like I'm gonna say obviously none of us touched it, but correct me if I'm wrong. This game had multiplayer. That had deathmatch and capture the flag.
Yep.
Which sounds wild.
And also like flag ball. It had a bunch of weird
It did.
things. Yeah.
And then it had a freely downloadable expansion pack called Nox Quest that added co-op multiplayer.
Yeah, and it like scaled the dungeons. Apparently, people like the Nox weirdos loved the multiplayer in this game before hackers came along.
Yeah, it's very cool, like conceptually. It's just like an infinite procedurally generated dungeon crawl, and it scales with you, and you can play with a friend. You know, I think
It's cool.
on paper that's really neat.
Yeah.
What's even wilder to me is that when I was looking up like stuff for this game, there was a Nox Cup in Vegas with trophies and everything.
Yeah.
There was a Nox Evo. So this game's a big deal is what I'm saying.
Let's bring it back.
Let's do it. Somebody reach out.
So like early pre-release press, and then also like contemporary reviews at the time referred to the multiplayer as like 3D Quake. You know, in
I heard
terms of
about
being
this.
like really fast-paced. You just get deleted and be like, "What the fuck happened to me?"
Yeah.
Which I think is very cool.
Wait, 3D Quake as in the 3D shooter Quake?
Yeah, well, sorry, like isometric Quake.
Okay.
My bad, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
So there's a lot of people that really like this game.
Yeah. Like it has a
Yeah.
very cult
Huh.
following, if you will.
And I think what makes this game in particular, and I had no idea going into this that this was the case, but I think it checks out. We'll probably all agree, is that the single player campaign is like pretty weak, and when reviewing it in retrospect, it's like maybe we don't all agree. I mean, I would love to talk about it, but what I mean is like in retrospect, this is just like it was never intended to just be a single player experience.
Yeah.
It was like fundamentally it was initially conceived as a purely like competitive multiplayer experience. Like the guy cited Mortal Kombat as an inspiration, you know?
Really?
And so like EA stuck this single player campaign on it and totally like screwed the pooch in that whole thing.
Huh.
I mean, the Warrior does have Scorpion Spear.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it was like supposed to be this like mage dueling game, and you would like put in like controller inputs like in a fighting game to make spells, and there was supposed to be like this like the competitive nature of it was supposed to be like spells and counter spells and schools of magic and like barriers and shit. It sounds very cool, but like
It's
You know,
funny.
how do
You
you do that?
talking about that makes me feel like because you get a lot of spells that like when you're playing in the solo campaign. Like I played as a wizard, then I'm like, why, what?
Yeah,
And these
totally.
traps, I'm like, what? But thinking about like how that would play into multiplayer, that's a totally different thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah. So like multiplayer is really like the spirit of this game, but we can't really experience it for a retrospective talk like this, you know?
It can definitely like open our eyes to a little bit more, like maybe a softened look at it.
Yeah, it gives it a bit of perspective, I guess.
Let's all play a multiplayer game.
All right, let's boot it up right now. Live
Sure, it's
video game book
super
club.
easy to get running.
Everyone's computer explodes.
But since we were kind of talking about it, I guess we should all talk about what class we played. I played as a wizard because I love the way he looked on the the pick, like where you do single player and you get to pick from warrior, conjurer, or wizard. The wizard's
They're all
face, I was like,
Giga
yup.
Chads.
I
As
also
a
did wizard.
warrior.
Wait, say that again, one at a time.
I also did wizard.
So Darth did wizard, Danny did wizard,
Mm-hmm.
I did a warrior.
me
Oh
too.
no! I'm
also
the
did
only
Warrior.
one who went conjurer, dude.
I wanted to know. I
It's
was
the
like, who
most
is going to be the
Holden
guy who
thing.
went
I
conjurer?
was worried this was gonna happen, dude.
So I will say for this project, I went warrior, but on my first complete playthrough of this game, I went conjurer.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you had played this before?
Yes, I played it. I looked and it was apparently May 2020, so about exactly 5 years ago. I played
really?
this game. I
Okay.
guess I can give my first impressions of the game, which was back then. And if we're jumping into that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
do
go
it.
for it.
So If you'd ask me, I would say like Nox is kind of a perfect example of like, I know I don't give numerical ratings because they give me conniptions. It's like a 7 out of 10. You know, it's like that perfect kind of decent one-time playthrough. Kind of you play it, it was good, and you kind of forget about it sort of game. And that's always been my memory of this game. It's just kind of some cool ideas and pretty fun, and yeah. But I think I had a pretty different experience this time, and pretty overwhelmingly negative experience with it this time.
Hell yeah.
It's you know, the kind of game where you play it and it just makes you want to go to bed.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, like Drawn to Life.
Oh,
So yeah, I don't know if we'll get into details later, but yeah, that's kind of a very different experience my second time playthrough. Maybe that was partially because of the class. Like Warrior, I think is kind of not fun. Conjurer is actually a bit more interesting, I think.
I'll have to hear
I am
Holden's point of view.
interested in the other classes. Yeah, Holden.
Yeah, hit us up. As the fellow conjurer.
Well, just on my opening impressions with the game, I didn't play too many ARPGs growing up, but I did play Diablo 1. That was like my first PC game ever. And weirdly enough, I look back at like the simplicity of that game and kind of like the charm of when I originally played it, and you know, Diablo 2 didn't exist and all that stuff. But I bring that up because I went into this game with that as a reference point, knowing Diablo 2 hadn't come out, to kind of give it some credit for that. And I found like a ton of friction as I played this game, but I was pretty dazzled overall by the novelty of the game. Like, it went a little beyond novelty as far as Conjurer went, because there's kind of always like juggling. At first you can charm monsters, but then or animals and monsters, but then late game you get the ability to just straight up summon them. But when it's just kind of throwing a myriad of random monsters at you that you're choosing to like, sometimes like, all right, dude, I'm just gonna charm you to get you to stop attacking me, and I'm gonna switch to bow and like shoot this dude down. Oh, it turns out that charm went off, so now he's on my team. Now I'm gonna rain a fireball down. Like, I was actually doing so many actions per minute sometimes.
The
and
micro.
It was so fast paced. So, and then I found real quick, just on the topic of Conjurer, because I was like, did this couldn't have happened for other characters? Like, toward the end of the game, I was going through, I think it was like chapter 8, you go through the big towns, and I looked in the window and I was like, oh, this door's locked, and I see a dog and I just charmed it and it immediately went up to the door and unlocked it.
Oh
I
man.
was like, dude, this game's so cool.
That is
Like, it
cool.
actually has so many cool secrets and unique things like that. Apparently, if you play Conjurer, I don't know what the other classes are like, but
I have a question for you about Conjurer. You said late game you get to summon?
yeah. So like anything in your charm index that you have the ability to charm, because those are like items you get, either you purchase or you find them in secrets, like
Like the
White
Bestiary
Wolf.
Scrolls.
yeah. It gives you that ability to charm, and then if you have that access to charm, then toward the end you just straight up get the ability to summon.
So, Darth, you're gonna have to spot check me here. So as wizard, you get those summons as you're going through the areas, but I could never figure out a way to get them on my spell book to summon them. So I figured that's just what Conjurer did.
Yeah, I didn't ever have the ability to summon anything.
Yeah. So I thought
No.
Conjurer just did that from the start.
No, I guess not.
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
That is weird.
Yeah, I think it for me it was weirdly like a fun power trip at the end with getting that final unlock, but it was surprisingly a good balance, because you could immediately nullify something by charming, and you still have the ability while, because it's like you cast charm and then it takes like up to like 5 seconds or something, but you can still do anything and it doesn't cancel it as long as you don't try and charm something else. So it was straight up fascinating, like kind of a good combat gameplay loop. But I also would get one shot nonstop and load save. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
but yeah, that's the quick and dirty of Conjurer.
It sounds like a completely different game than
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll go next. I never even heard of this game. I looked it up when I saw it on the list, and I thought, hey, this looks neat. Saw that it was made by Westwood, which made me excited because I love Westwood. Well, loved Westwood. Rest in peace. Command and Conquer series is one of my favorite of all time. And I like Diablo 1 and 2, so I went into this with a pretty optimistic outlook.
Uh-oh.
And I had a lot of fun at first. The game was like super easy for like the first half, maybe a little more than half. And then it got to a point where it was just load save over and over, over,
Yep,
over,
yep.
over. The warrior, I don't know if I was doing something wrong, but there were several spells, well, 2 spells to be exact, that didn't do anything. The like light-footed sneak spell,
Point
Shit
is
didn't work.
completely useless.
it literally didn't work. It literally didn't do
Yeah.
anything. The description says that you can sneak over traps. No. Actually, no, you can't. Not once ever did I sneak over a trap. They always went off. And then there was the other one. It was like Dragon Sight or some shit like that. Again, I would use it periodically throughout the game in different spots to try and see if it did anything. The only thing it did was make my character's head glow green. That's it.
It's pretty cool.
And
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So that kind of confused me. I thought maybe it was bugged because this is an old game on modern hardware, but I don't know.
No,
I
I,
never
think
really
that's the
looked
intended
into it.
experience. They just don't do anything.
Mm.
And not to
Yeah, I
mention,
guess.
like, sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, like, I don't think like any of the warrior. There's one warrior ability that's good, and by good I mean it's strong, because the charge is so inaccurate. It feels like it's not even worth using, because of
You have to be pretty close to use
yeah,
the charge.
it's awful. There's like none of the warrior abilities are fun. Like
Skill
Scorpion
issue.
Spear is trash,
Useless. Yeah, totally useless.
worthless.
Skill
Yeah.
issue?
Every time I used the spear, they would just immediately start running in the opposite direction, and I would swing and it would just miss.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no stun attached to it. They just start running
No,
away.
there's no stun at all, and especially if you have like a two-hander that's slow, it doesn't, like, you have to have a fast weapon to use the spear. From my experience, anyways.
Same.
So most of the game for me was just running around clicking on things, and they would die, and that was basically it. That was the whole game. I enjoyed the act of running around and doing things. But other than that, I didn't really find much in this game to enjoy. I will say I found it kind of weird that the game started like ultra goofy and funny, and then the rest of the game there was zero goofiness.
Yeah, until the very end of the game where it hits you with
Yeah.
another goofy cutscene. You're like, well, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of forgot about the goofy.
Like I thought the game was gonna be goofy throughout. I was like, oh, this is fun, like a lighthearted, like tongue-in-cheek parody. I thought that's what I was in for, but then it was like, nah.
Yeah, it almost feels tacked on. Like, I wonder if that was part of the EA.
It was.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. The single player campaign didn't exist until about a year before it came out.
Yeah,
and
but
even then it was
she was
changed a
making
bunch.
bacon though.
And
Yeah, a pile of bacon for dinner. Yeah.
these like inconsistencies you're talking about in tone, that people at the time recognized that also in like the VAs. Like Hecuba's voice actor is fucking all over the place.
Mhm.
And so it's definitely a thing, and it comes just to it's EA. You can just blame EA.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I will.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I liked about this game, I appreciated it, let me say, is the linear fashion Like I like running around Diablo, but like at a certain point, like you have to pull yourself away from grinding and trying to get loot to like actually do the story. This game is like it's just on to the next thing instantly. Like it's almost like kind of like it catches you off guard. Like you finish one part and it's like, oh, next chapter. Next
Yeah,
chapter.
sometimes
It's
you
like the
walk
loading
through a
screen,
door
Lord
and it hits
Dumps
you with the
killed
next
me.
chapter thing.
Yeah, like and it wasn't very long either. I expected it to be a little longer than it was. But at a certain point, it stopped being fun entirely because it was just. I hope I don't die in this next room instantaneously, and
Yep.
and that's what the whole game became. But yeah, the warrior was like super. Like saying super simple is an understatement. Like it was as brain dead as like. I know they have those idler clicker games nowadays. That's kind of what it was like. Where like I just saw an enemy, click, 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 next. Yeah. That was my experience with the warrior and Nox.
Well, to give a wizard perspective, and I'm definitely curious to bounce some thoughts off of you as well, Darth. I almost sound envious of being able to walk up to enemies and click on them and kill them, because the wizard, it started like he said when it was easier in the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm gonna use magic missile. I'm gonna do lightning because it does damage based on like my mana and how many enemies. And I was having fun with it, and then it became, wow, these enemies have a lot of health. I better just spam fireball. And then beyond that, it was, I have no mana. I better run back to the mana stones.
Oh my
And
god.
kite enemies around mana stones. And that was the entirety of my gameplay. Move 3 feet forward, find a bunch of enemies, move 2 feet backwards to a mana stone, move 2 additional feet forward to the next mana stone, repeat, shoot fireballs. And it was just like all I did, and hitting with those fireballs. Sometimes those motherfuckers would like juke and jive when they were coming at you, or turn away from you, and your fireball would just miss. And it's like, well, I just used up all my mana, and it's a blow up. And so I ended up resorting to casting Force Field, hanging around the stones long enough to get my mana back, face tanking the enemies so I could just fireball them in melee range and then move on. And that was my gameplay loop. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I was having fun with it in the beginning. And as soon as it took away that kind of agency of like, I'm going to build my wizard like this, I'm going to do this. Like it got way less fun because it was like, also, in talking of invisible or like useless spells, Darth, did you also find that mission where they're like, use invisibility, and then the lock team behind you, you're invisible, and they're like, that was too loud for a sewer rat, and they run up and hit you, and I'm like, what?
Fucking awful part of the game.
And I'm like, I guess I'm just killing all of them, and then I looked up a long play, which thankfully the video game footage you see here is someone's long play. Thank you very much for your YouTube long play. This game hates OBS. The guy does the same thing in that chapter. So I'm wondering, Darth, if you did that as well. The what is it, Hagar the Horrendous or whatever?
Like if I actually snuck around.
Yeah, if you used invisibility or you just.
I did once I got fucking like super tired of spamming fireballs, missing, running around crystals. Load, save, load, save, load, save. Oh my god. Eventually I figured like you're able to, if you just walk around really slowly, then they don't attack you.
Okay.
Unless you get too close.
So I guess if they hear you, it gives them vision.
Yeah, you can never run.
Yeah.
You can never run or else they notice you. Which I started to abuse to just basically skip almost the entire game when possible. So yeah.
Also,
sorry.
Well, I was gonna say one thing that confused me that I now know why like it exists is I thought it was gonna be like, you know, if you guys, how many of you played Magicka?
Oh yeah.
Nope.
Not me.
Oh, we should
I'm
do
surprised.
a group Magicka. That'd be tight.
Yeah.
But so when you cast a spell as a wizard, he starts throwing up gang signs around your character, like you can see.
You
on
run,
the screen.
you run, yeah.
Yeah, and he says
Yeah,
like
dude.
rune words as he's doing it. He's spitting hot rhymes, and I was like, "What? Why? What is this? What does this mean? Like you don't? Like you can't make spells, you can't do. But now hearing that there was supposed to be like
Yeah,
an input
yeah.
for spells,
It does make sense.
how that
It's-
somehow like hung over to the single player is weird. But now I
Yeah.
get it.
Well, so it's not even just to the single player. It's just a holdover from the original design concept, and like the fact that you can hear, like even if you're not a wizard, you can, like if you're a warrior, you can hear mages casting spells, and that was like part of the original design philosophy. If it's like a
This motherfucker's casting lightning.
multiplayer competitive game, you were supposed to like at some point become familiar enough, not like supposed to, but like you could become familiar enough that like, oh, he's doing like Rob Ba Eth Burr, and you're like, oh well, I'm gonna do like Unga Bunga and counter that or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, like you know, so
No,
it's
yeah. So
just-
that makes me understand that. It's like weird that I can't appreciate it because it still means nothing, but I definitely understand it now.
It's a tragic tale, man.
I know.
Yeah,
these,
yeah.
these people had this like passion project, and this big corporation was like a fucking eagle out of the sky, just grabbed it and fed it to their ugly babies.
because they didn't think it was like good enough without a single player experience.
Yeah, and then they pooped out a mediocre
Yeah.
video game.
Mhm.
I'll talk about like my first impressions. I originally was excited because the wizards seemed cool, and I expected to be able to monkey around with kind of specializing, because I feel like that's always a fun part of playing any spellcaster in any game is finding your niche and trying to play around it. That didn't happen. I ended up being extremely frustrated by that gameplay loop of missing my spells, running back to the crystal, just things taking so much damage that I didn't really feel like a wizard. I just felt like a fucking, I don't know. I felt like an NPC, man. Like I didn't really end up having very much fun with it, I would say, especially in the latter half of the game, really. Especially as things got so tanky. I found the enemies were repetitive, the music was repetitive, the game's economy, the gold economy, was ridiculous.
Yep.
And I didn't even understand why it was an RPG because the leveling system made no sense.
Yeah, like you didn't get many stats. You got spells from picking them up off the ground. It was, yeah. Every time I leveled up, I was like, okay.
Okay, great, awesome, full mana, good. Yeah, and so it doesn't surprise me to hear that this game took like a U-turn in its development because it felt like it had some promising pieces for being an RPG, but that was never really the point of it in the first place, and it shows because it doesn't fulfill the parts of RPGs that I like, and otherwise I found it to be rather clumsy. The only thing I liked was really like the presentation, some of the goofiness, some of the art. I like the 3D renders. Like I don't know, like the way that those pillars would move you up and down in areas, the way that when you would like hit a barrel and the water would spill out. Like initially those things made me think that this game was going to be interesting and cool the way that it looked, but that also got repetitive, to be honest. So yeah, I ended up not really having a great time playing it, but I'm sad to hear that you know, it definitely didn't follow through on its original potential.
Well, I think in a way, like for people who love this game for the multiplayer, there is some of that potential there. Because like to go back to what Super was saying, with the warrior being very simple, it only has a couple abilities, and admittedly the sneaking one is just dumb as shit and doesn't work. But maybe it works in multiplayer when wizards set down traps. Maybe it works for those, but not for like environmental traps for the single player. So it's just totally out of step with like design vision, you know. I think the single player campaign of this game actively hurts it. When people want to go back and check it out, like some shit just is either useless or broken. I will say though, damn, someone blast that bot. I will say though that Super, for the detect invisible ability they have, I was able to get that to work. You know, the mission where you have to invade the wizard like tower,
the school.
Yeah,
Wizard
like
school.
I used it there because like there's some wizards toward the end of that level that go invisible, and I was like, I see you, I know you're there. And then like the harpoon, for example, it sucks in single player, but like in multiplayer, when you're like doing like maybe team deathmatch or something, you could hook a wizard and then like run away as you're dragging them back behind enemy lines to murder them. You know, so like
Right.
there's like emergent gameplay kind of strategies you could do with
Yeah.
that, but again, in single player, it's pointless, and so like you're totally justified in being like, this is dumb, you know, because it is.
Yeah, I tried it a few times when I first acquired it because I thought it sounded really cool and useful.
Yeah.
And the enemies would just frame one that they regained control would run in the complete opposite direction. I'm just standing there like an asshole.
Yep. For sure. I found that particular level. I'm going to pivot here into my experiences. So I found my experience of the game very similar to you guys. The beginning was more fun because it was like pretty breezy. But once I got to that, like, I guess it's like a little past halfway, maybe getting closer to 3/4 when you have to like assembling the staff. And so for the warrior, they go to the wizard enclave and like fucking, it's one shot city, dude. You're dying like
fireballs, man.
Yeah, like every 10 seconds. It's really horrible.
Everybody thinks they're tough till a wizard shows up with fireball.
Yeah. and so like there's again, from listening to this retrospective I was listening to earlier, it seems like perhaps there's some like implied spell resistances more than just like of fire resistance gear affixes. It's more like if you're wearing chainmail, it's going to make lightning cook your ass because it's metal or whatever, you know? It sounded like maybe there was some of that going on, but again, it's not stated and it's sort of implicit, maybe you could argue. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm curious if anybody else found it as frustrating to just like mechanically play this game as it was for me.
Yes.
I really, really didn't like the left click, right click dynamic they had going on here. It was super grating. And then in general, I found that the interaction hitboxes on loot was really fucking annoying.
Is it going to be high?
Finger to come closer, and you're like, bro, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna freak out, man.
Yeah, it's like very, very hard to just play this game. I would have like, if I could have had a way to magically like get it to work on a controller, it would have been pretty cool.
Oh
like,
my
maybe
God.
like twin stick kind of thing would be cool.
Let me tell you, I did set this up to play it on a Steam Deck because I was curious. It's bad. It's horrible. It's awful.
Yeah. I briefly tested it with like DS4 for Windows, whatever that program is, to like rebind things to like left click, right click, and it's miserable. But I'm talking like if you had like true mapping where you could just move with the left stick and like swing directionally with the right stick, or like aim your spells with the right stick, I think it could play pretty well. And you just like pick up the nearest item with like fucking A or X or whatever.
Yeah, like if they made a PS2 port of Nox or something.
Yeah, like I think that would be much more friendly to play. But dude, by the end of this game, I was just like, is it? Can we be done? Are we done? Please. And then also, like, I don't know if for the Conjurer or the Wizard class you guys experienced this, but the Darth sort of touched on a related point with the gold economy. It is fucking brutal as a warrior because like your gear is breaking every 30 seconds, and like you have this mishmash of gear because like you just everything you had that was cool is permanently broken and you can't fix it because there's nowhere to repair, and even if there was somewhere to repair, you can't fucking afford it because it's too expensive.
The repairs are so expensive.
Yeah,
I was
Also-
gonna ask
System is
about
fucked.
that. I had like 3 sets on rotation by the end of the game.
Yeah, like, and so you can kind of do that, and it gets like a little better when you start to assemble the staff because it's indestructible, and so like at least you have a secondary weapon that's not just gonna eat shit. But it's like managing loot in this game was so annoying. The inventory is stupid and bad, and I hate it.
So bad.
Like the tooltips are dumb as fuck. Like using a slow two-handed weapon is like actively a nerf to the warrior. You need a fast weapon so you can actually get some hits in. There's lots mechanically I don't like about this game, but like I really liked the they called it, and they tried to copyright it, but you know, as we're seeing here in this cave, it's presented really well. The
Fog of War.
Yeah, well, they called it True Sight.
Yes.
I don't know why, but it's like it's Fog of War but on crack. Like it's very neat. I think it would. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was interrupting you.
I was going on a tangent. Please go ahead.
Oh, it's just about the Fog of War. I was actually watching some footage of Ultima on NES, Ultima, Exodus, Ultima 3 on NES. Oh my god, I can't talk. You know, Ultima, Richard Garriott's Ultima.
Lord
Exodus.
British.
Yeah, that game also has this almost the exact same style of Fog of War, where it's like line of sight sort of thing. I just thought that was an interesting thing to see in that game.
It's
Anyway.
so cool that it dictates whether your spells go off. I don't know if you warriors knew that.
No,
you
we don't
can't
have any
click a-
spells.
You can't click a fireball down if it's in the black. It makes a specific noise that goes. Bloop. Nope,
Oh,
you
that's
can't
really
do that.
cool.
You can't see there.
That makes more sense because, like in Diablo, you can fling spells into Fog of War all day, right?
It just
And-
shoots in that direction.
Yeah.
As a wizard, you can do that. Like
Yeah, you just click
your
the
spells are
line.
your projectiles. Like you don't target a spot. Like our fireball is different from yours. I think you had like a flame strike, and we have like a like
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
Like
a
a shot
literal
that comes from
fireball.
you.
Oh,
I think this game, the campaign was made around Conjurer. The more I'm hearing.
I honestly feel the same way because, like,
Yeah.
like I said, what I remember of this game, I actually liked it quite a bit. Honestly, I thought it was pretty decent, but Warriors, like, objectively not the way to play.
it's bad.
It's really bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
Darth will agree with me that the wizard is also really bad because like you're just hugging crystals the whole time.
But I also like
You made it a
clunky, weird
wet
games,
number.
so maybe Conjurer is bad. I don't know.
I think it's just not well balanced at all.
Holden, could you remind me and let us, the rest of us, know how much of your damage would you say is like your bow as a conjurer?
Oh yeah, but I was using the bow a lot. I wanted to ask if you guys had access to bows.
Bow
I
is
don't
a
even know that there
conjurer,
was
so-
a bow.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
a conjurer only
bows
thing.
shred, and I
Yeah,
had
it's-
access to a staff and spells and minions, and I could switch to a bow when it was getting froggy.
Yeah, so
The
the
bow
only
just
conjurers can use those.
Dominates.
Interesting.
So they're the class that's actually probably maybe potentially fun, maybe perhaps.
Yeah, well, because they always have options, whereas the warriors, like, I guess I'm gonna charge at him and try to not miss.
Yeah, I was switching a lot.
Then you
Yeah,
hit a
like
wall and you're
Grey
stunned
Nose.
for like a year.
And you get lightning bolted and die, and you're like, okay,
You-
great.
Literally take damage if you miss your charge. Yeah, that's great.
The one ability that actually does anything.
No, you know, the dispel ability I used a lot, and I found that pretty useful. Like,
Oh yeah,
Warcry?
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Colin
good.
was talking about the invisibility one. I never used that because anytime I walked in a room and I knew there were spellcasters, I would just use that move, and it dispelled anything they had and silenced them. So
And then they run around all scared, and you're like, yeah, start
Yeah.
killing.
That's how I felt playing the whole game.
Yeah, you run
Nothing
around all
silenced
scared.
me.
Don't hit me.
Did you guys pick up on how certain mechanics would destroy certain enemies? For instance,
Yes, fire destroyed
zombies and
the
plants.
zombies.
yeah.
I figured that out because
Like-
all I did was cast fireball.
So the whole time I was playing, there's like novelty around like all this conjure stuff, and then one-off mechanics for certain enemy types. I was like, wow, this game's crazy. I can't believe they did that and balanced it for 3 classes. Like I just assumed all the other
Turns
classes
out.
were at that level.
it's a pretty reasonable assumption. I mean, you can't really blame you for thinking that.
But like, what happens when you play warrior and there's just zombies nonstop?
You stand there and click on them.
That sucks
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah,
I'm not
I mean,
kidding. That's literally what you do.
it's very much like Warrior Diablo 1, you know?
Yeah, but like they don't incinerate, so they come back, right?
No, you have fire swords
Yeah, fire.
Oh, okay. At least you have fire swords.
or fire axes, whatever, any fire weapon. But,
Or as
the-
a wizard, you just go invisible and walk past everything. Rory.
There were most of the enemies in the game as a wizard. You could literally just stand there and take shots. So that was kind of nice. But so there later in the game, like you can't do that anymore. And like the whole point of being a tanky warrior is just out the window completely.
You know, I still found myself doing the wizard circling around the magic pylons. And it was so... I didn't realize you guys only do projectiles, because I would cast
Pretty
a
much.
fireball down from the sky,
Mhm.
and if my dude had momentum while I clicked, it would do some crazy vector way off from where I clicked. And I was like, dang, game. Why is my player momentum affecting where my fireball goes?
That's cool.
Yeah, you don't know how the physics of magic work. Maybe that's.
I guess I don't, man.
Did everyone finish what they wanted to say about their first impressions? Did anyone?
Oh yeah.
Anything left to say? Colin, did we cut you off? Did
No,
you finish
I
yours?
was good. I'm good.
So I experienced so I almost had a second Crusader Ascenti with this game.
Oh God.
God.
Yeah. So it was, and the best part was it was very near the end of the game. It's right before you walk into the Land of the Dead when you're in like that snowy area.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's a part where the couple walls come up and block off this area, and then there's like 3 necromancers and 1 like wizard dude, and you have to kill them to make the walls go away. Well, the first about 200 times I attempted it, at least one of the necromancers would somehow get on the other side of the wall, and I couldn't kill him.
Oh no.
Or I would get teleported away by the other dude, and then I was outside the wall, and I couldn't get to them.
I was thinking that wall. I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea.
I just kept trying it over and over and over, and then I went online, and I figured, oh, this game has actual literal cheat codes. Okay, and there's a teleport spell or cheat code that you type in coordinates and you can teleport to coordinates. Well, guess what? How the fuck do you know the coordinates?
Let me get up my
So I started typing in
noxmapper.exe.
random numbers, and I would teleport to the black void, and then the game would crash.
Oh no.
That kept happening, and like I was so close to saying fuck it and just quitting. But one time I tried to fight, and everyone stayed in the area, and I killed them, and I moved on. But oh my god, dude! Like,
That sounds like a nightmare.
it's just weird to me. Like my first thought when I played this was, oh, Westwood was like, hey, let's try to make a Diablo-like game. This will be like a little side project for Westwood. But apparently, that's not what happened. And to me, it's really weird that they allowed certain things to make it into the final product. Like, knowing that this game was meant to be one thing, and then trying to twist it into something else, and having all these useless leftovers from its previous life, like the spells that don't work, for example. Or I found it really odd that it's so easy to miss in this game, because in Diablo, like, you don't really miss.
Yeah.
And I guess that might be left over from the multiplayer, right? Like, it's part of, like, it's skill. You got to learn how
They're
to aim.
really precise hitboxes. I noticed with the bow.
Like, I would just miss, like, I'd be standing point blank in front of an enemy and click and whiff, like, so often.
Also, something Diablo has that this game desperately needed, or at least as a wizard, is, you know how if you hold Alt, or what is it in Diablo?
Shift.
You stand and attack, or stand and cast.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
game needed
Stop
that
moving.
so bad, but like,
No. Dude, okay, I was really hoping that it was gonna use this mechanic. Like, you might have noticed it a few times, where like if you pick up a spell book again, it like powers up
levels
the
up.
spell.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that sounds like a really cool idea. I've played games that are like that, like roguelikes, and that's really satisfying. But it literally went nowhere, and most of the spells didn't have leveled up versions of themselves, except for like random ones I never used.
How
So
many
I don't.
spells did you have?
Oh my god.
Like
There's
30.
Yeah, there's a shit ton. And
dude,
Conjure
like
has a lot, too.
80% of them are kind of useless.
Yeah.
I feel like they literally in an afternoon threw the warrior class together and added it to the game.
Well, what's
Dude,
interesting?
we had charge, dispel, spear, useless sneak, and see invisible guys. That's all we had.
That's it.
That's
One
literally
bar.
all of the skills.
One bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
one bar.
crazy. I could see that being like good. Like, oh, you're a beginner player. You know, here's just like just one skill bar. Just go around, hit stuff. You know. But in a whole single player campaign, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, but it also makes me really so Darth. The game tutorializes you on the spell, and it would have saved Super from this issue. So it makes me wonder if they played as warrior and were like, we should give wizard a spell to avoid that. You get teleport to enemy, so you can click on an enemy with the spell and teleport to them.
I feel like, at least for the single player campaign, the Warriors charge should be homing for single player.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, were you
Yeah.
not able to like block stuff with a shield or anything as the warrior? Like
You-
just straight
if
up
you
block
stand,
shit?
if you stand still and face the enemy, the shield blocks things.
Okay.
But
But
you can't.
then
you
it
can't
breaks
swing.
immediately. Yeah, you can't swing, and also it breaks instantly.
There was like tons of enemies in this game where you'd like shoot a fireball at them and it would just go ping on the shield and I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, there goes 35% of my mana. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, it's funny. What's happening in the gameplay right here? I'm glad it happened to random dude. When I would randomly bump into an object and it would get in the way of like a door that I was trying to get through, and I had to like finagle the fucking thing out of the way while trying to get through the door. Oh my
Do you remember
god.
that part where you have to like push the boulder forward and there's holes? And it's oh my god,
Dude,
dude.
you guys have no idea. One time I summoned a freaking. There's these orc babes you can summon. And it's just this big, beautiful green woman who spawns. And I'm trying to shoot this enemy that one-shots me. And she walks up and just completely bumps me. And I had a crossbow. And it went down for the reload. And then the thing came down and exploded all 2,000
Damn.
of my items onto the floor.
She knocked over your GI Joe collection.
Pretty much, dude.
I did appreciate like the unique game over screens,
Yeah.
which we saw a lot of.
The art was really good on those
yeah,
game over screens.
Absolutely, I think all the art was good. Like there were random ass NPCs that had like nice portraits. I was like, oh, cool.
I share a brief anecdote on that, not to derail, but so one of the inspirations for this game, so it was like specifically Gauntlet, like 1985 Gauntlet. It was Mortal Kombat, and then Magic the Gathering was the third inspiration for like the whole wizard dueling thing. And one of the artists who worked on Magic the Gathering actually specifically was hired to do the art for like the game over screens. And some other stuff. So like that art for the game over screens is like by a Magic the Gathering artist.
That
It's
checks out
really
because
good.
it looks like I could see it
Fucking
being that
sick.
style.
Yeah, it
Like
was
some of
so
that art
cool.
was actually like kind of eerie. Like it actually
Yeah.
was like, whoa, ooh, creepy.
Oh,
If
I'm
you
dead.
Die in
Okay.
one of the lava areas. I think it was like chapter 6. Like it's your character burning to death. Like when you see the
All imps
flames
are
coming off your
laughing at him.
skeleton, you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And then it's fucking Hecuba's like,
Hecuba
Yeah,
kind
I
of
love
bad
that.
though.
And she just says a full ass paragraph at you, and you're like, dang. I guess
Yeah,
I'll load.
I'm
Cool story,
curious. This might be off. This is something we should have talked about later, but like the final cutscenes, was it like class specific?
You
No,
said-
it showed a warrior. Or like
Did you-
warrior gear, it looked like.
No.
don't know.
Mine was a mage.
Mine
though.
was a wizard, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
they are.
maybe it was a conjurer.
Wait, what
Yeah,
cutscene are you talking about?
When
like
you
the
defeat
final end
Hecuba.
cutscene. where
When
you-
he's
yeah.
back in his house?
What?
What?
Okay, that's crazy.
That is-
Okay, what?
That is not what
Shut up.
happens in the wizard
No,
one.
I think mine was a conjurer now that I think about it. It was like base vanilla gear, so it threw me off.
What
My guy
happened in
didn't
this
go back to his
cutscene?
house. Okay, so in my cutscene, you have like a stupid, really weird wizard duel with Hecuba, and the voice acting is super cheesy. You defeat her, and she like turns into like a normal person, and she's like,
Wait,
you,
what?
and then she's like, who are you? And he's like, I could ask you the same thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're not from here, are you? And he's like, no, but I'm beginning to like it. And then it's just black
And
screen.
yeah, it
It's
literally
over.
just
Dude!
boom, gone.
What?
What?
Mine was crazy. Okay. Oh my god. My dude like summoned something to like freeze her and yeah. Okay. I'm remembering the conjurer, the protagonist man in the FMV,
Jack.
John protagonist summons 2 green ogre men, orcs, and restrains her. And then she uses her telekinesis on the spike traps behind John protagonist and pulls them out and tries to spike them, but in turn spikes her, and then she gets trapped in the spike trap. And I didn't
dies.
remember because it was so freaking ridiculous.
Huh.
And then, but the warrior just ends up back at home.
yeah, you
Back
to the
kill
break,
her,
baby.
and she falls over, and then all of a sudden he's sitting at home, and he has like in Looney Tunes, and they get exploded and they turn black and their hair's sticking up.
Yeah.
He looks like that, and he has like this stupid ass look on his face, and his girlfriend is like, "Are you there?" What's wrong? What's going on? Answer me. Are you there? And he's just like stunned on the couch. That's it.
That is crazy. Okay, so there is different cutscenes, and they're actually really fucking different. Like, she becomes, seems to me like the wizard one is
She becomes like,
conceiving the
instead of an
idea, yeah.
evil wizard, she becomes a light wizard, and she's
becomes like your
babified.
GF. Yeah. That is crazy. That's weird. What a weird amount of effort they put into that.
Especially for how much the cuts. Well, at least the wizard one sucks.
Dude, the Conjurer one's so crazy.
Did you guys
Might
know
go
Jack
watch
is
those.
voiced by Sean William Scott?
Really?
I'd believe it.
Yes.
He doesn't even ask where his
Realized
car
that he had a
is.
voice.
I mean, he
Just
talks.
in cutscenes, I guess.
so
Yeah, he talks
weird.
about his TV
Really?
in the intro.
Huh.
What?
Yeah, what?
Danny, do you remember? I think I forget what game you were talking about, but maybe it was like Final Fantasy 16, something you saw in there, or a different game, Baldur's Gate, whatever. You were saying how you saw people talking about like actual British voice actors. People were saying like, look at these stupid
those
Americans doing
metaphor.
British. Yeah, okay, so it's metaphor. They had this. People like critics had the same sort of thoughts on this. They're like they're getting these American voice actors to do like these weird Australian accents or oceanic accents, but they were actually like British people doing accents. So it's funny. People were doing that back then too.
Yeah. It's like I don't know why people don't do the research before they start complaining.
Easy
I
to
think-
complain.
One thing that is kind of cool about the game is like every NPC has unique dialogue and
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and faces.
Did you guys save
Well,
Lewis
not-
the
Some
Frog?
faces are reused, but
See what?
Did you save Lewis the Frog?
I never encountered Lewis the Frog.
Does anybody else save Lewis?
I didn't
What?
remember.
It's in like
Dan's playing
chapter
a hacked
5. No, chapter 5 where the beautiful green women attack the town. And like
Right.
you're going through and like saving the people, and you go in one of the houses, and the guy's like, "My house is on fire. You gotta save my frog." And you're like, "What?" And you have to push the water barrels into the fire, and then you walk up to his frog, and he's like, "Hey man, get me out of here." And I'm like, "Okay, this frog's talking to me."
Did you
I
have to
don't
push
hold
it
up
with
at
the
the
wizard
shop.
spell?
No, I just pushed it with my body.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah, that was
Probably
weird.
Just missed it.
I did the same thing. No, and he gives you like 100 gold, and you're like, great.
I'm pretty sure the campaigns.
Yeah, maybe that mission isn't
different.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the cheat codes to try and get myself unstuck, I saw like a chapter list for each character or each class, and they start the same kinda, and then they end the same, but like they had different missions.
They all start in
Oh.
different areas, but you kind of go to the different areas at different points. I
Oh,
think, in
right,
different
yeah.
campaigns.
Yeah, but they all end
It's
up in the
kinda-
land of the dead.
Mhm.
That's such a cool structure to have no interest for warrior.
What?
Like kind of weaving in and out of this linear style, but with different areas for the different classes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
It was weird. It's like a weird like that became like the that seemed to be like the whole gimmick of the game. Weirdly, was that it was like you get a different game every time for every class that you play, but it's like maybe it was just
You know what?
one would have been better.
Yeah.
And then
How
at the
about
end of
none?
the game was like, now can you beat it as a conjurer?
Yeah,
it
that's
literally
the first
told me
thing
that.
it says when you see the credits. Yeah, you did it as a wizard, but can you do warrior? I'm like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, I don't
I
want
want
to.
to.
Hard pass.
Also, skill issue. I didn't realize you equipped the staff as a weapon for like
Oh no.
yeah, probably like an hour. No, it was like
It's actually yeah.
it was like 30
good.
minutes. So I'm doing the fucking fireball dance, and then I like went to melee something and shot the green beam, and I was like, whoa, wait, what? And I was like, oh my god, I'm dumb.
Bucks.
Wait, so when you got the staff early on in the game, it shot stuff?
No, you don't get it early on. You get it like chapter 10.
Well, I mean the first time you get it.
Yeah, like when you fit.
Spear. You can still use it when it's a spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like when you have it fully assembled, the staff of
Oh,
oblivion.
okay. I see
like,
what you're saying.
it
yeah.
shoots that green laser that fucks everything up.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't realize that it had limited ammunition. That kind of fucked me over pretty badly. I was on the last boss with no laser. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh,
lot of fun.
Darth, did the last boss go the same way for you as it did for me?
How did it go for you?
I saw where she was and moused over her for 1 second and hit D like as fast as I could, and my fireballs just exploded her, and I got the cutscene. I was like, it's like fun fight.
No, I got
Are
kind
you
of fucked up actually. I was not. Yeah, no. I had a hard time even hitting her with spells, to be honest.
The fight for me was I would see her, run up to her and swing and miss, and then she'd be like, ha ha ha, and teleport away. And then then I couldn't find her for like literally 3 minutes. And then that would happen again. And like it took so long.
That's funny.
They give
Like,
Conjurer tag that right before this. It lets you tag any enemy,
and you
then
see him on the map.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dude,
the
They're
more
like,
I hear, the more
this
I'm
right before this
convinced.
fight.
Yeah, the more I hear, the more I'm convinced that Warrior was a complete afterthought. At least for the campaign. Like, maybe it had some shit in multiplayer, the intended experience, but like it seems like it was tacked on at the last minute. It was like all these core experiences that you guys had with the game are completely absent with the Warrior.
If it makes you feel any better, Darth, did you rage that you literally get blink 10, 15 minutes before the game ends? The game holds on to blink until the very end of the game.
I stopped even using the new spells I was getting. I was like, I don't even give a fuck. Staff is strong. Fireball probably works for everything anyways. I literally didn't like. There was like, a few spells at the end where I was like, I don't care. They probably don't even work.
It's funny as the Warrior, when you get all your spells and you continue to level up, every time you level up, the game says you already know that ability. And I'm like, wait, what? What ability? What are you talking about?
You know, that one.
Every time I level up, you already know that ability. Excuse me?
Like, man. Okay, one thing that I also wanted to talk about was like the gear. I felt like it was super lackluster and not interesting and not very impactful for a game like this.
No, I agree with you there, but I think Wizard was way different.
Right.
No, that's accurate in general.
It is.
It was boring and annoying.
It feels like they wanted to do more with the gear because some of the gear had like stats, right? Like it wasn't just armor; like it was like a unique piece of gear.
Yeah, it was like
but they were few and far between, and they barely did anything.
And then they broke.
Like I kept waiting for like an ultra like cool rare thing to drop. Like in games like this, that's like one of the main draws of a game like this is you find some super cool rare loot. Nope, doesn't exist. Not in this game.
Like literally doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the only like the drops are just for you to sell and to clog up your inventory. I would have probably enjoyed the game way more if like at one point I killed an enemy and I got like something like a cool like a ring. You know what I mean? Or
this
anything.
game needed rings and like neck pieces and amulets and stuff.
Yes.
Some way a character sheet instead of just an inventory. Here, click on this to equip it.
Any way to feel like you had agency over how your character was built, right? Like that's kind of a core function of most RPGs, I would say.
Yes.
Something, anything, like please.
Do you guys find yourself gearing up for areas?
No.
I actually, I don't know what's wrong with me, man. I was really looking out for that because right before the poison area, it's like the shops were loaded with the poison armor, fire for fire and lightning for lightning for the anti-zap, and it was just like a non-spoken language of what you're gonna come up against.
Did you have money to buy those things?
Yeah, I was usually selling all the warrior weapons that I'd get from all the orcs.
How dare you?
Stuff.
I bet you had more inventory space than the wizards.
I was broke and I also hated picking things up. Like at some point I just stopped picking things up because I'm just like, I hate all this. I hate this.
It's annoying. Yeah.
Like everything is so fiddly. The interface is so shit. It's fucking,
Yeah, it's really bad.
I don't the inventory system. It feels like they like coded it in like an afternoon. Like
probably
it has zero. It's the most basic shit in the world.
Yeah, quick. We need a screen with some boxes. Here you go.
Yeah. And then the way they made it so you have to click on the separate icon to see what the item is. Why can't you just fucking mouse over it, dude? Like, this game
'Cause
came out in
old games.
2000. This isn't like an 80s computer game, dude. This isn't a DOS game. Like, why
But
can't you just
those
mouse
quality
over?
of life standards took a while to standardize, you know? Like, it would have been nice, but it makes sense to me.
And another thing that they could have done, it would have been nice if they told you when your gear started to be near death. The only thing the game ever tells you is, oh, your helmet has crumbled into dust.
It does. Like, there's a color. There's a color in your
Yeah.
inventory.
Yeah, you have to open your inventory and check constantly, though. It'd be nice if it's like your thing is almost broken. Like, why
Right.
can't, like, that would have been a
I would-
very simple thing to implement, right?
I thought it did,
Hmm.
doesn't it?
Just for your weapon and in your inventory itself for gear.
It just turns red, or and yellow, and then red, and then it breaks.
Yeah,
It
and I
doesn't
thought there
have an
was like
actual
a.
message.
I thought there was like a pop up. Is that so? It's just for weapons that it does that,
It-
Chris? Or
It's just when it breaks.
I've never seen that pop up. I don't remember seeing it.
One of my
anyways.
helmets exploded.
Maybe I'm tripping.
It's far. I mean, I could be totally mistaken, but
No, I never saw
from-
that message super for my armor. Anyways,
From what I remember, the only time a message pops up is when it's broken, and by that point, it's too late because it's gone forever.
oh, reload.
The one thing that confused me about this game was with the economy. We mentioned it earlier. That you never really started to get more gold as you
Yeah,
went through.
like,
Like the
you
gold
do a
pickups
quest.
are always the same
Totally.
amount.
You get 20
Totally.
and 100, and I'm like, shouldn't I be
You start
getting
getting 200 toward the end.
At like the very end, I found like 200 in a box. I was
But
like, oh.
I will say the swamp had a $20,000 staff. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, how do you buy
Yeah.
that, dude?
Like for sale?
Like save for throughout the
Yeah.
entire game.
It just has infinite fireballs. I was like, dang, that would have been
I wanted
interesting
that
to try
so
and go
badly.
There
for.
were some swords that the warrior could buy that I could never afford.
Dude,
That were
super.
like these giant ass swords that had like all kinds of shit on them that I never once was able to afford.
So going into that wizard tower, that mission, I saved up a bunch of money and sold a bunch of gear, and like some of the gear I was actually wearing, a weapon I was using because I wanted to buy one of those weapons, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I got this big ass sword. I'm a shred me some wizards," and those stupid wizards kept spamming the spell where you drop your weapon.
Yes, dude.
Oh,
And I was
no
like,
way.
"Where's my sword?"
Yeah, dude. There's like a room with like 5 wizards, and it makes like this goofy, wacky noise. It's like whoop, and then you drop. And
Flipped
you
on a
drop
banana
your
peel.
weapon, and first of all, it blends into the floor. Second of all, there's 100 other items on the fucking floor. Sometimes it would fall behind a piece of scenery, and you just couldn't see it. I mean, you're running around struggling to pick up this weapon, and the wizards are just standing there laughing, shooting you in the back with fireballs.
You're like trying to pull up your pants.
Oh my god, bro!
Dude, the
So
cherry
there's
on
one
top
room.
is the finger.
Yeah, it's like come a little closer. Almost. But there's one room in that wizard level where the room's like a square, and there's several teleporters around the square, and in the middle there's a cage, and there's a teleporter in the cage, and the goal is to unlock the cage to gain access to that teleporter. So there's also about a dozen wizards, and what they do is they shoot at you and then run and teleport. So the whole room is just full of people shooting and then running and teleporting, shooting and then running and then teleporting. And then you run after them and you teleport into the room. And as soon as you appear in the room, they all shoot you and then turn and run into the next room. And then you chase them into that room. And then by the time you get into that room, they're teleporting away. Dude, that was one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had with a video game, ever in my entire life.
Yeah. In retrospect, it's really funny because it's really bad. But yeah, absolutely. In the moment, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Though the way it looks, like if you were watching someone do that, you would just be dying of laughter. Like you would be holding your sides, like dude, like the Benny Hill music would have been the most appropriate thing in the world for that part.
It's like frame 1 when you walk in, they just start freaking out in there.
You walk in, and the instant you spawn into the next room from the teleporter, there's already a fireball flying at you. And as soon as they're able to run in the opposite direction after shooting the fireball, they're running in the opposite direction. Oh, and stupid me with a big I found a hammer and I was like, "Oh, sick!" Like a big two-handed hammer weapon, and it did a fuck ton of damage. But oh my god, was it slow! And like, just picture me running after the wizard, swinging the hammer, and when it misses, it makes a big old noise. And so here I am running, making this stupid noise as the wizards are just shooting me, and I'm dying over and over. Oh, dude.
Slipping on banana peels, dropping your weapon.
Yeah,
that about sums up the entire warrior experience. I feel like that I know exactly what you're talking about. That room is, oh man.
That I couldn't believe it, dude. Like I was like, "Is this a joke? Like, do they want me to start over and pick a different class?" Because I will. Like,
Yes.
It's making me feel like running back to those mana stones every minute isn't that bad anymore.
I think it's all fucking bad, dude.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all pretty bad.
It's all pretty bad.
So there was
Yep.
I'm curious. I don't know if this is a bug or an intended mechanic, but there were some times where I would deliver a fatal blow to an enemy and they wouldn't die, and they became invincible. But then they would die after like 5 seconds. They would just drop dead on their own. Did
Weird.
anybody else experience that?
I did
No,
not.
that
I
sounds
don't
really
think so.
annoying though.
No? Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. That would happen to me pretty often.
I wonder
Where
if that's an open Nox bug.
Yeah, part of me wonders if that, and in addition to that, like the whole teleporting thing you're talking about, if those are like open Nox quirks.
No, the teleporter shit is just Nox.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because I think the whole the wall, that part I was talking about with the walls that
Yeah, that
cut
one.
the area off,
Oh,
that
sorry.
might have been open Nox also.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what
you
I was
meant,
talking about.
the wizard tower.
No, yeah, that's organic Nox. No doubt there.
But yeah, when I got stuck outside the walls, yeah, it was literally game breaking. it
sucks.
halted progress. But Open Nox made it really easy to play. I just double clicked on it and I could just alt tab as much as I wanted.
It just works. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it just works. But man, like there were points that I came close to quitting this game several times.
Me too.
But the only reason I didn't is because this game features the quick save. Like you can just load and save at any point at any time you want.
I was thinking, like, thank God for that, because of how often I would get one shot by fireballs and shit.
If you had to restart a whole chapter,
Oh god.
I got to the point
Oh my
where
God,
I would kill an enemy and save, kill an enemy and save.
That was me for the entire latter half of the game, like straight up.
I got to that point 100%. And mostly because like I would run out of potions and I didn't have any money. And as far as I know, you can't go back to old areas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like you can go back and grind for gold, right?
No.
And
no, you
so
can't.
like it's very finite, the amount of gold in this game. And like I would go broke because I'd repair my stuff, and like an idiot, I probably should have just picked up armor off the ground. But the armor you find on the ground sucks. But anyways, like I was broke for most of the game, and I'd run out of potions. And by the end of the game, the apples and the meat chunks are useless. They heal like 1/800th of your life bar. And so I would have no health. I'd kill an enemy and save. Kill an enemy and save was like 2 health.
You can also only carry 9 potions, which
That too. Yeah.
suspect decision.
Yeah. It's like, but what if I'm gonna need more later?
Or like you go out of your way to find a hidden room, like you're searching around for treasure and you find a hidden room and it's got like 4 potions, but you can't pick any of them up.
Yay,
And you
me.
just like broke your weapon halfway, 50% by smacking walls.
that probably that feels like a multiplayer balance thing, or they were playing Diablo 1 and were just like, this sure is potion chugging the game.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
So-
like, did anyone else think it was fucking weird that like you would pick up potions and instead of storing them on your belt, it would just restore if you had like some random
Oh
amount
yeah.
Yeah.
missing? Like, what was up with that? Like,
Yeah,
why?
sometimes
why
we
was
would
that a
just
thing?
eat them. You're like,
Like,
"Whoa."
I never wanted it to do that ever. Ever.
Yeah, it'd have been nice to have the option, right, to decide whether you wanted to instantly.
Or just like,
use it or not.
well, here's an idea. You just put it on the belt and use it instantly if you want to use it instantly. Like, I really did not understand that at all.
This game had a lot of things like that, where like a lot of little quality of life things that could have been fixed relatively easily. Like I hate to
Well, that
say
one
that
was-
because I have no idea how coding works. It's magic, basically.
Well, that
so-
one's a funny example because that was like trying to do quality of life, and it just made Darth pissed.
Right? They're like, why wouldn't
Like,
you
it
want it
could
to
have
heal
just
you
not
immediately, dude?
existed.
It's like you can't even buy infinite potions from the stores. Like you get like 3 mana potions from the store, and then like half the ones I found, I would have to, if I wanted to pick it up, I'd have to run back to a mana crystal, then go back and pick up the potion. Like fucking hell. That
I will
sucks.
say that the kind of just switch gears a bit here. The towns were kind of cool. Like the towns are nice. Like they had like little secrets. You could run around into the buildings and steal from people, which basically that's what it was.
I
Let's not
love
kid
the
ourselves.
secrets in the towns.
And did anyone hire the dog?
Yeah, I was just about to
Yep.
ask.
I did
Yep, I hired
not.
the dog.
I never hired
Maybe?
the dog.
I hired the dog and he got lost and died. And I was like, okay,
It-
good.
That's why I never hired the dog because I knew it was just gonna die.
Yeah, it dies, dude. It dies so fast. Like it dies like fast. Like it's not even like, oh, he's getting low on HP. Like one enemy rolls up and hits him 3 times, and he's just like,
So it's useless, basically.
no. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fucked up. And then you go back to the guy afterwards, and he's like, "Do you want to buy another one?" And I wanted to kill him, but it wouldn't
Like,
let me.
no, I don't. Let him free.
Stop sending these little pups into the battlefield, man.
So I don't. It's funny. Like we were talking about how the wizard is kind of like overlooked, or not the wizard. Sorry, the warrior is kind of like overlooked and like an afterthought. There's one chapter in the game. It's pretty early on where you go to the wizard town and everyone is a huge fucking bigot, dude.
Oh,
Like
really?
you walk, yeah, dude. You walk into the store and they're like, "We don't serve your kind here. Get the fuck out!" And then they literally frame you for a crime you didn't commit and put you in prison, and you have to break out just because you're a warrior.
I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I thought that was funny, especially
So-
after hearing how these other classes have so much more.
So that same kind of thing applies in the inverse for wizards. Like, you know, for the warrior mission, I keep talking about you invade the wizard tower. Their version of that is I think you guys go to the Fire Knight like fortress.
okay.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
You're murdering all the Fire Knights.
That's the one where they tell you to be invisible, but it doesn't work. for
Oh, and
shit.
it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, apparently, if you run.
Yeah, it works. It just sucks.
So I think it's one of the. I guess it's like ultimately low impact in that. Like it's not a very significant thing, but I think it's cool that there's like factions in this. Conjurer probably skirts both of those. I think they seem like a neutral. But warrior and wizards definitely are like, I'll kill you. You know.
Sounds like.
Yeah, they hate each other, and they never explain why either. They just do. They just hate each other.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So how? Okay, I'm curious. How do the wizards end up acquiring that the halberd, or is it a different weapon for wizards? Because
No.
in the warrior game, it's a horrendous's halberd.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
same.
Yeah,
So you get it from him when you invade the Fire Knight place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You go through like a sewer system, and then
And then lava,
Yeah.
and then sewer rat, and then
you
Yeah,
walk
in the
around.
Warrior, in the warrior game, you're like helping him fight. What's her name? And she just one shots him, and he's like, take my weapon and avenge me." And he
Oh,
dies.
sorry.
He did
No, I
the
had to
classic
murder him.
talk shit, get hit.
Yeah, he like stands up and he's like, "You're nothing. I'm gonna fuck you up. Everyone watch this. Check this. Is gonna be hilarious." And then she just kills him instantly.
I
He's
think
like,
that's what
damn.
happened in mine. Pretty sure.
What's the
Accidentally-
early game like for conjurers? Like, because the like there's factions like Colin mentioned. Like you
I
like you
don't
train
remember.
to become a knight or a wizard. I would assume.
yeah, you're.
I don't
you're
remember
an
too well
apprentice.
because I accidentally clicked through the first cutscene. I didn't even know I clicked through it.
Oh,
Where
man.
you get like teleported into this crap, and then I just had no basis for what happened after the first loading screen where it just lore dumped on me. I was like, all right,
got
I'm-
isekai'd.
but
Like for
and
the early missions, like did you like train to become a conjurer, or were you just already a conjurer?
there was training and tutorialization, but the thing is we started. I think I started this game like 3 months ago. I can't even remember the beginning of the game. So
Oh, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Nothing to remember anyway.
Yeah.
apparently,
Yeah, that's.
I do remember mechanically the tutorialization was on point and being like, I wonder how that stacks up for the other classes, because it felt kind of like I remember it being like a hard tutorial segment, but then it naturally going through the game that was your guys' version of the game. It still had bits that were teaching Conjurer stuff throughout. I was like, that's got to be
if you want to
fascinating
know what
for
it
the
was
other
like to play a
ones.
wizard, watch the gameplay right now.
Yeah.
You don't really need to know anything but
This is really
Fireball.
bad.
But just specifically how they teach all the classes, I was curious about, because it was like hard tutorial, but then kept explaining things throughout.
There was no
But
real
maybe-
like tutorial for warrior. It's just like when you train as the warrior, the whole training course is just running past traps. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's like now you're a knight. You ran past that spike wall. Good job, you're a knight now.
Good job, you made it.
Yeah.
Make him
Yeah.
proud.
Because the whole knight concept is like you just survive the gauntlet, and if you're a bad enough dude to survive the gauntlet, then way to go, you're a fire knight.
Yeah, exactly. And the gauntlet is like the weakest enemy you can ever imagine, and then a bunch of traps.
Yeah, they're like, but can you kill this rat?
Yeah. There's
Yeah?
a grasshopper over there.
Can you
Think
take
you could
it?
take him? Yeah,
You're tough enough.
The wizard one is similarly kind of sad because it's like, find my apprentice. If you suck less than him, you'll be my apprentice. And you find him, he's like, I'm dead. You're his apprentice now. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
by
Do
default.
raw.
That's
I
pretty
think tonally this game is at its best when it's goofy and silly, but clearly it's inconsistent. And when it takes itself too seriously, it's like, okay, you're just embarrassing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's
Totally.
funny about that? The whole tone is like, I clicked through the cutscene and I was like, why is my like conjurer, my epic dude, in like this normal ass t-shirt? Like, I was so confused over that.
He's like a trailer park Homer Simpson character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like this guy, he's like not even in shape or anything. Like he's just some,
Yeah, exactly.
Panting constantly when running around too. It's like,
just
oh my
some
God.
dude, and like now all of a sudden he's like the hero that saved this realm. I mean that's fine. I just thought it was funny that like the main character is just some average person.
Yeah, in the wizard end cutscene, the one of two cutscenes, he does, like, your character does lean into it because he definitely shows up for a wizard duel, like thinking he's hot wizard shit rather than just like, I'm here and I can cast fireball now.
Wizard
Yeah,
God.
the warrior has no personality whatsoever. Like there's like you don't even talk throughout the entire game. Like it's just that weird dude with the airship. He's like, now we're gonna go here. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now we're going over here.
Thanks,
Okay,
Dad.
if you say so.
All right. Give me back my TV, please.
Dad, pick me up. They're one-shotting me with fireballs.
These wizards keep teleporting. They're being mean to me.
Yeah, that. Oh my god, dude.
I do like that the trap
Shit.
triggers, like for the pressure plates, are giant stone fists that come down and bite.
You get to summon those as conjurer.
The first time I saw that, I laughed out loud because I was
The
like
noise
ready
it
for
makes,
this, like,
Yeah, with the
you know,
noise.
like Indiana Jones, like fucking pillar to come down and stomp me, and it was just this big fist. I was
And
like,
it's like,
what?
oh!
Did you ever get hit by that?
Yes, I got fucked up by that.
You just instantly die, and all your 500
You
items
just
go
explode
vomiting on
into
the floor.
potions.
Dude, I love that. That's what the death looks like every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, well, it was funny like the first 3 times, but when I'm frustrated and getting
That's
chased by
always funny.
fucking
Yeah.
warriors exploding into potions, I was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like it's leftover multiplayer stuff.
Totally. Imagine how cool
Yeah.
it would be if when you killed enemies, they did that, though. Like, oh, potion. Oh, freaking staff.
well, I mean, they
Oh.
do that, and sometimes like this happened to me, Darth, when I was in that sneaking mission that I wasn't sneaking. I would kill the dudes in a small room, and their shit would go everywhere, and I couldn't get through the doors because their shit was on the ground. It's like, oh my god, why does the fucking inventory items have physics? Get it out of here.
So it was kind of cool. One time I killed one of those guys by the lava, and their stuff like was on the lava, and then I could hear it breaking, and then it broke. I was like,
Huh.
oh, that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, all the
Yeah,
physics and
I
stuff
don't know,
are
I'm
pretty
cool.
pretty interesting, like the engine physics and stuff, at least.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the things they really tried to market the game on, and I think ultimately they don't really like do anything, but they are interesting, I guess.
I mean, I don't understand why like the random decorative set pieces have to like be slid around like that. Like it kind of got annoying sometimes.
Sometimes it was straight up ridiculous, where it should have been static. Like you go into a room with like 20 beds, and all the
And you're
beds are
pushing a
flying
row
around.
of beds.
Sliding around, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck in your maze of beds.
Unintentional maze of beds.
Just
I
like so
found-
many weird decisions were made.
There was a cool lighting going on beyond just the line of sight stuff or the raycast, whatever you want to call that. But how, if you ever notice, like if again, not for the warriors, but if you cast like a lightning spell, or no, even with the fully upgraded staff, it would have the particles that linger,
Yeah.
and all those little particles floating around through the physics engine actually had individual lights. It's like, dang, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, by the time I saw that, like I was done with the game.
Yeah, it's not fun at that
I
point.
didn't really care about the little particles, but I mean, I guess I could, you know.
Dart, did you ever try the channel life spell? The one that takes your
Yeah,
HP for
one time.
Yeah, one time, and then you realize I'm never doing this again. So what
Yeah.
it does is it takes 1 HP every nanosecond while you're standing still. So your health bar completely disappears, and it gives you like 30 mana, which isn't even enough
Like
to
not
cast
enough
magic
to like
missile.
cast fireball one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay, cool, great. I guess I'll just go stand to the crystals again
And
for
then
like
I
10
accidentally
minutes.
hit that spell one time and immediately nuked myself and just got fucking jobbed up by a dog. I was like, oh my god.
I would
Yeah.
like. I'm very interested to learn about like the development of this game when it entered the hands of EA, because again, like that seems like something that shouldn't have made it into the final product.
Yeah,
Like
that
it
spell
takes your
was
whole health bar and you don't even have enough to cast one spell. Like obviously that shouldn't be that way. Very weird.
like it should have either ticked slower or gave you a lot more MP. Like it's
Yeah.
wild.
Or like the warrior's sneaking spell literally doing nothing. Like
Oh,
maybe that shouldn't have made it into the final product. I don't know. It's just that's why I'm curious about like what was going on at the time when they were making the single player portion of this. Like what was their goal? Like what were they trying to accomplish? Obviously they wanted to sell copies and make
ship
money.
a product that could be put on the shelf is probably it.
But like you want to sell that product though, right? Like that's the whole point of making the product, to sell it.
Yeah, like post really even at the point when Westwood and Virgin took over, they were like, this needs a single player thing. So it wasn't just EA, but it just got worse with EA.
Let's blame EA alone anyway.
Yeah. I mean that's fair, but like I don't know.
To me, this reeks of a board of directors who were pressuring it to release as quick as possible. And the developers were explaining to them that they needed to do this and this and this. And they're like, we don't give a fuck about anything you just said. Release it by this date or you're
Get it
fired.
out there.
Yeah, they had a very tight timeline, like a year of crunch, basically, which was,
Man.
a lot.
That's fucking stupid.
Like, there's
That makes me
things
angry.
in this game that obviously shouldn't be the way they are. And I'm not just talking like opinion, like, oh, like I didn't like this. Like there's things that are broken that don't work. Like I don't know, it's weird. It's just weird to me that they would release the product this way if they wanted to make money from it.
Yeah, it's pretty clear from like the video I listened to that these, like I said, the single player didn't exist like a year before it even came out. So like a lot of the things we're talking about are purely for that. Like I imagine in original conception, gear was not even a thing, and so the inventory was not even a thing, and durability therefore was not even a thing, and gold was not a thing because why would you need it, right?
Yeah.
So like all of this is just crunched, squished. Hey, we need this for reasons.
Yeah. This is video games. Make it.
That is
There's
very
another
shame.
unique offender in there. I'm curious if it screwed you guys. I didn't realize until I'd passed up all these really cheap spell books that do like duplicates upgrade your spell power. So yeah,
Yeah.
Mm,
you guys
yeah.
realize that?
Yeah, Darth and I were talking about that, but you only ever really get like I think I got Fireball to 2 and
I
Magic
never
Missile
even
to
found
3.
the second
Oh,
fireball
you
one.
didn't? This
No.
ninja
Yeah,
had level 1 Fireball the
What
whole
about like
game.
at the stores and stuff? Because Conjurer is just nonstop. You can keep.
No,
They're
every spell that
expensive,
was
but
in
you
the
can
store
upgrade.
sucked.
Yeah, it was like fucking like just the most random shit that did
But
not matter.
you never saw duplicates. Like, ooh, I get to upgrade now.
No,
We did, but they were just not good.
yeah,
Like
it
they were
was
spells
like
we didn't use.
yeah, like Channel Life rank 2. Now it kills you faster. Like
Yeah, like
no.
great, awesome. Yeah, no, I would have really liked it if you could have had way more agency over the spells you specialized in, but due to the economy, I never felt like, and the scarcity of these spell books, I never felt I really got to actually use that system, which I originally thought was interesting.
Yeah, I had a mid game spell. I got to level 3, and it never made the mana cost go up, but the damage kept going up. It's
Damn.
pretty great.
It would have been nice. Would have been nice. Nope,
So
instead
Conjure is the way to
level 3
go.
wall.
sounds
Yeah,
like.
apparently.
Sounds like
Yep.
it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Just use a bow. You don't have to use mana to shoot things, and you don't constantly lose out on durability on your
Mhm.
armor for
So-
getting up close.
Do you have to have arrows as well, or does it just have unlimited ammunition?
No, you need arrows, and the
Oh, okay.
quivers cost like anything that's not a normal bow, like fire quiver, costs like $2,000 or something crazy
What?
for like 20 arrows. But they clap cheeks, so
Damn.
yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
I had up to mid game. I just had oodles of money, and then I was getting down to zilch, but I still had enough to repair and have backup armor and stuff.
You
I never
stopped
had
getting
money.
loot. Like I feel like I stopped getting as much loot as I did at the start of the game to like bring to the vendors. You know, like I just started fighting random monsters that didn't drop anything. Something that I like. Do you guys feel like it was like maybe a little bit too repetitive with the monsters?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
it was like, oh, a scorpion again. Okay.
And then they stopped giving you, like, most of the monsters don't even give you experience points either.
No. Doesn't make
It's
any
like, well,
sense.
there's literally no point in fighting them unless you just want to reduce the durability on your weapon. That's it.
If you want
Unless
to
you want to
grief
have
yourself.
fun and interact with the game, which yeah.
Dude,
Foolish.
I loved how there was like some weird, like priority level for the enemy AI, because sometimes I would summon, like, you could get those chess mimics as one of the final summons, right? Do you guys remember those?
What?
The weird, like,
terrifying,
scorpion
dude.
guys.
Yeah, they're crazy. And I summoned it, and the dude just started killing rats, all the rats on the ground. Like, he was just so angry at the rats right away.
I had an NPC that did that for me a few times. I was like, dude, like there's
Just chill, man.
bigger fish to fry right now. It's like casting Confuse on a rat. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's silly.
So,
But-
did you guys have, like, companions often during your
No.
campaigns?
Just one
No.
mission.
Yeah,
and
I
he'd
would
clip through
frequently
a
heal
door.
them to keep them alive.
Yeah, there was that
Oh,
one.
you guys didn't have heals, did you?
No.
We did. The
Yeah,
wizards
We
do.
had one heal.
Lesser heal. You never get any other type of heal, by the way. It's just always lesser heal.
You get greater heal as conjurer, but it's right at the end of the game, so it's pointless. But did you guys ever heal your boys? 'Cause
Yeah, I had to
that
heal
makes
the
the game
wizard.
way easier.
So you have to save the archmage, and when I was fighting with him, you have to fight this big ogre. You have to fight Thrall, and the wizard clipped through the door, and Thrall chased him out through the door, and I was just stuck with there with my dick in my hand because I couldn't chase them, and I was like, well, I hope he wins, and I literally sat there for like 30 seconds, and I hear, ooh, and I'm like, what? And then the wizard died, and I was like, oh, fuck me, let me just reload. But that was the one and only companion experience I had, and I was thankful there weren't more.
Yeah, the one that the warrior gets is the where I almost had to quit because of the bug, game breaking bug. Just some random dude in a cave.
Yeah, I
You're
got
running
that
through
guy
a
as well.
cave. Yeah, and he's like, "Hi, I'm in a cave," and you're like, "Hey, you want to come with me?" He's like, "All right."
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, that's the
The guy's a
only.
G, honestly. He was casting confusion and it was like pretty strong.
I
And
don't
then he
think
left.
he casted anything in the warrior campaign. I think he was just like a warrior.
That's weird.
I just remember
Yeah.
I kept like every time you took like a sharp like when the map did like a V on like a corner, I had to wait for him, otherwise he would absolutely get stuck on it.
That seems like something else that they maybe should have explored more of. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe not. Like more companion parts. I don't know. But with the poor pathfinding and casting confuse on rats, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean maybe it was better left as is.
How do you guys
Does
feel about
anybody?
the?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How
I
do you
was
guys
just gonna
feel about
mention the
the?
music.
Yeah, yeah. The music was kind of whatever for me. I don't know about you guys.
It was the most mediocre blend shit in
Yeah,
the world.
it was what it needed to be. It wasn't anything like it fit the areas it was in. I was like, okay.
I found it was like quite repetitive. Like it'd be like, oh, it's this tune again.
Yeah.
And it's this tune again. And I'm going crazy, I'm going insane.
There were
Well,
a few. There were a few songs, in my opinion, that I actually really liked. But for the most part, what you guys have said is correct, or I think I agree with. The composer was given like less than a year to work on it. He was brought
there
in
you
like
go.
he was like, "What the?"
Why is this wizard throwing gang signs at me?
Yeah, so he like did some interviews and was like, "Yeah, I didn't really have time to really work on this in any great detail or attention to detail or anything like that." So I think it shows. But again, there are a few songs that I like a lot.
I can't recall any of them. Like I'm trying to think, and I can't. None of them come to mind at all.
There's this one where you like it goes off whenever you walk into the town, and there's so many times where I'd walk in and out of the town. I remember it would go like it would be like boom do 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 do, and then I'd like leave and then come back and it would do that again. Boom do do. That's it. That's all I remember.
I
What were you
remember a
gonna say,
song
Olden?
played during a cozy cave that was nice. Oh, I mean, unless you guys want to talk about music anymore, I just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on the secrets in the game.
It sucks.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're terrible.
How many secrets did you guys find?
A lot.
Yeah, I found a lot, and I was like, "Wow, these are all trash," and I stopped hitting
You just
walls.
hit the
Wait,
wall.
wait, the level design or the rewards?
Both.
Both. Yeah.
I'm sad. I love the invisible or not invisible. I love getting the accidental turkey from the walls on hit.
Yeah, but
and I love
the problem was the turkey
durability.
wasn't worthwhile. When you found a wall chicken, that shit was like, oh, thank God. But when you find a secret, like, oh, there's 20 gold, thank God. And like,
Did you guys ever get loot that was worth like $3,000 when you go to sell it? Like big old numbers.
yes,
No.
I did find a recharge staff one time. Oh, and let me tell you, using staves that shoot as a wizard is the most fucking obnoxious thing in the world. Because here, let me give you a bat that has a fucking pixel hitbox, and you're gonna sit here and shoot your staff instead of melee it, and this bat's gonna eat you alive because you're too busy shooting wizard bolt at it. You can't fucking hit it. So I'd always just use a regular stick and just beat bats to death.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much all the staff sucked. Like they clearly did not put much testing or thought into them. Only the fireball one was useful. The rest sucked really bad.
Yep. So sorry to poo-poo on your secret parade, Holden, but
I thought the level design was interesting for the
Yeah.
secrets at times. Sometimes. I mean,
I
some
agree
of
with
them were
you.
pretty whatever.
I agree
But-
too. Like there were times where I'd be like, "Oh, that's clever." Yeah, I'd get a little like, I would get a little happy for a little bit,
Yeah,
and
give
then
me a
I'd go
little-
back
Just
and
little
be like,
random
dopamine.
walls, right?
No,
most
sometimes they
of the
were like
time.
hidden areas. Like if you walk through like a tree path, like you can go into like a secret little grove. Which is like,
Or
Yeah,
the dog
maybe-
I charmed to open the door. There were. I mean, that's Conjure specific, but I could remember some really weird. Like I went off the normal path and found some actual worthwhile stuff like pretty consistently. Like it was really helping my personal economy.
Wow. Yeah, I never. The only good stuff I found was from chests that were like in plain sight,
And some of
pretty few
some
and
of
far
the gear
between.
was so good I didn't even need to buy the super clapper gear. You
Wow.
know?
Yeah, well,
Near
I'm
the
glad
end of
that
the
you had a
game
good
for
time.
Wizards. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Near the end of the game for Warriors, like it started dropping like the real good shit. But that was literally the end of the game. Like before that, you didn't get anything. Every now and then, something decent would drop, but like not the real good shit. You would see it in the store, and you're like, "Well, I'm never gonna be able to afford that."
Yep.
And so you're running around with this mediocre weapon that breaks immediately, and then it costs more. Like, I don't understand why it costs so much to repair this shit. Like, it seems like it costs more to repair it than it would to buy it. Like, I found this axe. It was pretty good. It had like fire and I think stun or something like that. And I was using it, and it got red. It turned red. So I left the dungeon, ran back to the village to repair it because I didn't want it to break, because it was like my best weapon up to that point, and I couldn't afford to repair it. So I was like, well, fuck. Like, well, I guess it's gone. Like, that's that for that axe. Went back to using these mediocre, worthless weapons. And that was most of the game for me.
Sorry, you'll be very surprised to know that at one point in the game's development, Warriors had the ability to repair themselves.
Oh wow.
And it was taken out for whatever reason. But you can
That
still
makes
find
perfect
evidence of it.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense because it's a constant problem for Warriors, not just the
Yeah.
weapons, like the armor too. Like, you'll be running around and all of a sudden you notice at some point that your character is just wearing pants and a shirt, like no armor.
Yeah.
Like, wait,
Or,
what
like,
happened?
You just suddenly start punching things and you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Your weapon's just gone. Like, I couldn't imagine what it would feel like to save up and buy one of those really expensive weapons, and then it breaks and it's gone forever.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Like, in a game where you can't go back and farm, that kind of shit is, like, not cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool at all. Especially how easy it is to, like, accidentally do it. Like, there's no warnings at all. Not for the armor. For the weapon, you can see the little... On the bottom left part of the screen, it turns yellow and red. But for the armor, you have to look in your inventory, like, constantly to make sure your shit's not about to break. It sucks.
Game sucks.
Game sucks.
really liked the durability in Gold Economy in my experience, and I realized it was dramatically different for you guys. But regardless if you enjoyed it or not, do you guys find that it made you more engaged in the experience?
No.
Yeah, I never found anything engaging about the game. Like,
Hey,
it
shut
went,
up.
it went
Damn.
downhill. Like Darth has talked about it. If there was any kind of agency in making my way, I want to be a lightning wizard. I want to be a fire wizard. I want to be a force wizard. Like, when I'm seeing all these spells, I was like, yeah, I can't wait for this. But then when you level up, you don't like pick your skills. You got to find the book off the ground. What if you missed it? Then you suck at that spell. The gear always did random. Like, I had a piece of gear that said, like, what was it? Like, sturdy wizard armor of cure wounds. And I was like, does that give me a spell? Like, cure wounds? And it gave me a little icon up in the top left that looked cool. And I have no
never
idea
understood
what
what
it
that
did.
I never understood that.
And I
that
even
after-
looked in the
like-
fucking manual and I couldn't figure out what it did.
I think it just gives you a like regeneration effect.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's what I assumed, but it was not like. I even got like the greater one at the end of the game, and it didn't really seem to change it that much.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Well, let me rephrase, because I wasn't asking if it gave you agency over defining your character, but just strictly over the economy of gold and durability, did that keep you more engaged in the moment to moment of the game? Because for me, it was like keeping me on my toes. Like, every action mattered.
I'm gonna say no because it was so punishing, but not to just to like talk like that concept, I think is very well executed in Dragon Quest. And typically in Dragon Quest games, you don't have enough money, barring extreme circumstances where you've grinded for several hours. Like when you get to a new town, you literally can't afford to buy all the armor, so you have to like choose, right? You have to make choices, and that's interesting. But I think it requires very specific, careful balancing. And in this, it was just fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The thing that I didn't understand was, like, you would think that the further you get into the game, the bigger the gold drops would become. Yep. They never, like, I guess until the very end. At that, I honestly didn't even notice at that point. I wasn't noticing anything, but like, I would always find 20 or 30 gold. It's like I'm more than halfway through the game. Everything is expensive as shit, and I'm finding nothing. Like, this is chapter 1 money. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
I'd like to answer Holden's question. It wasn't engaging because I never really participated in the economy because I could never afford anything besides repairs, which was basically the only thing I spent money on potions too, when you could find them. Like I never was like, oh, I'm going to save up for this, and then I'll have this, and I'll be more durable against this type of enemy, or I'll be able to fight this type of enemy more effectively. No, none of that ever happened. Like, it gave me like a window, a sneak peek into what could have been. With like this giant cool looking sword. It's like a holy divine platinum diamond sword of the dragon's face and a zombie too. And like that, you'll never have it. Sorry. It's like permanent window shopping.
But isn't it cool though?
It's like Wayne in Wayne's World, except he never actually gets the guitar. Like,
yeah. So like, I think that like it's an interesting question because in reality, most of the time, that mechanic usually exists to frustrate people. It can cause people to try new things because, you know, if relative to buying new gear, repairing it is a similar price, and you know, you might think that a player might experience more that the gear system has to offer. I didn't really feel like the gear system actually impacted like my dungeon crawling, except for the resistances, which I could cast on myself anyways as a wizard.
Yep.
Which I think they might have stacked, but like honestly, either something kind of like one-shot me or it did like almost no damage at all. And so, you know, ideally, seeing that there's an economy causes a player to look for more secrets and kill more enemies to attain gold, which is how most RPGs do it, right? Yeah. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, most of the time, the gold that I made was pretty much just because I was moving along the linear path to collect it. Sometimes I took the extra time to collect the gear of humanoid enemies, but for the most part, I didn't really feel like it actually impacted how I planned out playing each level. Like, if I saw something I couldn't afford in the previous town, I would think, oh, you know, I guess I should pick up more gear to sell, but I would say that's about as far as I got with interacting with it. Otherwise, it was kind of just statically, I would find gold as I, you know, opened a chest as I went through this room to get to the next one. So, yeah, so not much dynamics there in my experience.
Right, yeah.
If I'm being totally honest and fair and trying to look back, I do think, to answer your question positively, Holden, it did make me think, oh, I really need to be careful about swapping weapons, and it did make me pay attention to durability that way. But so it was engaging in that sense, but still like a net negative because it's so punishing, it's so restrictive.
Right.
The problem is that they don't give you enough gold. Like,
yeah.
Or opportunities to sell things. Like, the fact that you can't go back to previous zones and the fact that enemies don't respawn, it's like, how are you supposed to afford these things?
Yeah, especially like you said, when you're getting 20 goals halfway through the game, you're like, what?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thinking too, like, if I were to think of a way to make it more engaging, just in a more general sense, I think that having a universal store where you can't afford something, then oh, you finally can, that can be rewarding because that means every little like micro play you're making to save money actually builds towards something. But for the most part, you just get to a new store every time, and it's like hopefully you have enough money for who knows how expensive item you're gonna see. It's not like you're actually planning ahead. You're more just like hoping, crossing your fingers. You don't have an actual goal in mind other than to use it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that affected it too. Sorry.
No, and I don't even have a good argument other than the way my weird goblin brain approached it, because I've got this morbid fascination with games where I'm like, man, is this game old enough where it could permanently screw my save file if I'm not like managing my stuff right?
That was a real thing.
Yeah, and that is like a weird level of engagement, because I've freaking doinked save files when I was a kid, and oh no, I saved with no HP and no potions. And I guess there's part of me that misses that in modern games. That was a level of appeal for me. But again, I played Conjurer. This game's weird.
Yeah, it's true. Like Wizards, if you were like me and were like, well, I'm probably gonna get more gold later in the game, so why don't I recharge my Fireball staff every once in a while? It's like one of the things that makes sense to do. If you can recharge it, I reckon there might be value to doing it. But no, I ended up running out of money so fast. Which maybe honestly actually probably by the end, just like not even really engage with that system whatsoever, because I felt like it was completely out of my ability to manage at a certain point. Because it was like, I just saw, I have like 2,000 gold in my inventory because I've been repairing my stuff because I have some gear that I want to keep using. But then I see something in a shop and it seems really cool, but it's worth 12k, and I know I'm like 80% of the way through the game. I'm just like, okay, well, what's even the point in saving up my gold?
Well, forget that thing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think that unfortunately it just like it was not as
it's another aspect of this game that seems like it could have been dealt with and fixed like relatively easily.
I think that if you watched players play the game and saw that they were like, oh, they seemed really interested when they saw that Fireball staff, but then like you look at their gold, how much they have, and you're like, maybe we should scale it back a little bit, make it so that buying new gear is equivalent to the price of repairing it, so that you have to make that decision. Do I want to keep going with my old stuff, or do I want to bring new stuff into my loadout?
Yeah, I'd say it absolutely feels like this game pretty much had no playtesting, which in a crunch they probably just like, okay, we finished it, send it, because there's just so much stuff that's like, why? Like that somebody like Super said is like watching somebody play the game, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Things that aren't just like there's some games that have shit that's like, that could have used another pass through or another look at, but this game had things that like anyone, you don't have to be an expert, you don't have to work in the field, you don't even have to be like someone who plays a lot of video games. Like this is just common sense shit, like something that literally doesn't work. It doesn't get worse than that. It literally can't. That's rock bottom. And the fact that made it into the final product, I guess this game literally didn't have playtesting.
Like it really feels like it did not.
I think it did. I think it was limited. I think there's that time crunch, and I think not all the classes got the same love, or we know that for sure.
Yeah, you could be right. You have to agree though that like they could have definitely used a lot more attention.
I totally agree. Game needs more polish, and honestly, at a fundamental level, there's a lot of clashing going on, like even just how the movement works. But I gotta give this game points for trying to bring in so many different visions to one complete vision. Personally,
I'm glad that it had more complexity, because I think that even though the complexity sometimes fell flat because it wasn't like dynamic and really changing much of the way I was playing the game. In an RPG, I do look for complexity to a degree, right? And I think that, I wonder about, whether it's worth having complexity that's difficult to actually interact with versus having none at all, like which is really better. I'm not sure.
I mean, I think when it comes to a game like this, you have to have some degree of complexity. Otherwise, it's kind of just like pointless.
Man, imagine if I had been running around the game and like using WASD to like do like up, down, left, right to cast my spells, that would have been super interesting. And I think it would have made combat a lot more interesting. Maybe it might have also made it more cumbersome, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I think it all boils down to what the game was originally supposed to be and what it turned into.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these mechanics are things that would be totally different against a human opponent. Like against AI, like a lot of these things are pointless. Like the spear, like because the computer opponent can react to it instantly. Like you could get caught off guard as a human, like you didn't see it coming, and you're like, "Wait, what's happening? Why is my character moving?" And it takes a half second before you realize what's happened to you, and then you have to make a split-second decision. The computer doesn't have to do that; it does the optimal thing instantly. So yeah, I think to me it sounds like an evil company kidnapped this project and ruined it.
No,
So
make it
sounds like
this.
Yeah, like they probably saw that Diablo 2 was coming out, and they were like, maybe someone will accidentally buy this for their grandkids instead of Diablo 2. It's like, I want Diablo 2 for my birthday, and like they accidentally buy this game instead, and they're like, yeah, we made a sale. Seems like something scummy like that.
It's too bad, man. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
the more we kind of rag on it, I still like feel a little bit guilty considering like the multiplayer was the juice apparently. Like we saw the bad side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way like Colin described it, it sounds like it would have been sick. Like
At the very least,
it had
unique.
actually,
You know what I mean? Like at the very least, unique.
if it had actually, yeah, like there was nothing like it, and like I guess you could describe it as like a very, very proto MOBA, I guess.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
I would say so.
yeah, if it had come to fruition as its original vision, but it's just confusing to me why they would even bother to do what they did with it. Like I'm assuming this game didn't sell gangbusters, right?
The number I heard
made
was
a profit.
The number I heard was 600,000, but the track record is sort of obfuscated. Hard to tell exactly.
Right. Yeah. So no, it didn't
Diablo
sell
2
well.
had no momentum, so Nox gets an A+ in my
Hell
book.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first started playing, like when my experience was brand new with this game, I was like, "This is sick! I can't wait to see what's in store."
And
Like,
then
yeah. And then,
It doesn't really build on itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say there wasn't much in store. It kind of was like, here you go, like this is it.
This is the whole game.
Wizard
for the whole
threw
time.
a bunch of useless spells at you, but
That's really odd to me too. Like the amount of spells that the wizards have. Like, was it gonna be like that in multiplayer also? Because that'd be nuts. It's like Tekken. Everyone has 100 moves.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was really well balanced because like a mage would like use their magic and either whiff or like they teleport to get out, but then they have no mana left over, so they're sprinting. And warrior could chase them down, and
yeah.
the way I've heard it described sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
and I
is
think-
there like a separate build of this game that fans like worked on to play multiplayer?
Yeah,
Or do they just?
there's ways you could still play it. I think it's like Nox Reloaded, if I'm not mistaken. There's ways to play it, but you're gonna be playing against like people who have been playing for like 300
Right.
years.
No. I know. I'm
Damn,
just saying that
Nox
like.
sweats.
Obviously there's something to this. If this game had a tournament, like if it like in-person tournament, right, and it had like when I was doing minor reading about this game, like yeah, I got the impression that it has a pretty serious cult following, and then hearing that there was a tournament and then hearing what Colin had to say, it's like holy shit, like there was something here that got lost along the way, I guess.
Yep. And even with what got lost along the way, the finished product, the multiplayer is still very cool.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
all we get to see is this crap.
Yeah. the ugly side. we'll have to do like a revisit, like Nox Book Club Reloaded. Where we
Danny,
just-
you and I are gonna play that infinite co-op dungeon mode.
Do we do
Okay.
3v3s? One
It's gonna
wizard,
go
one
real
warrior,
hard.
one conjure.
Okay,
Kinda crazy.
I like the way Darth thinks.
Yeah, like even in the multiplayer, like look at the Warriors Charge, for example. Like it deletes wizards in the single player campaign, and you know for sure if it hits a wizard in the multiplayer, it's gonna one shot him. But it's such high risk reward, and that's cool because it's
That is
jukes.
cool.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like a Pudge in Dota or whatever that is. Isn't there like a hooky character in Deadlock? You know,
Bebop, yeah.
yeah, that's like an archetype. It's very cool. It's when you hit the shot, it's awesome, and when you whiff, you're like, oh,
Yeah,
you know,
skill shots, like they're
Yeah,
a big
exactly.
thing.
I could picture scenarios where like the wizard sees the warrior and they're like, okay, they're gonna charge. Do I go left? Do I go right? And then the warrior's thinking, is he gonna go left or is he gonna go
Uh-huh.
right? Like that's sick. That's really cool. Too bad none of that works in single player.
yeah, yeah.
the
It's just
enemies,
like
all the enemies just run at you or shoot projectiles. That's pretty much it. Or they
Yeah,
do
there's
both, kind of.
there's one fight that I remember. It's late in the game, and it's like a warrior type dude, and he has a hammer, and he kills you instantaneously. The warrior
Oh,
can
yeah.
take like I think 3 or 4 shots actually, but I'm assuming that if you guys had to fight him as the wizard or the conjurer, I'm assuming he probably one shot you.
Most
Yeah,
of the time
just
if a boss
boom,
got on you,
200.
yeah, you were just done.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
running and constantly casting force field and praying to God.
Running
And
slow.
like there was no way to like it was very difficult to actually like put distance between you and this guy. He was just on your ass all the
That-
time.
That reminds me, did Wizard have a slow?
Yes, and it
It
had
did, yeah.
haste.
Oh, okay, because that was like huge. But I could also melee, and then once I had the staff, I could just smack him.
I actually found it honestly by the end when I had the spear to be more effective to haste me, slow the enemy, and actually just melee.
Hmm.
Because like
Huh.
yeah, the spells cost so much, and the crystals
the
started
only-
to get far and few between.
I had a weapon that slowed enemies at one point, but it broke. It was pretty cool. Like I would land a hit, and then I would have an opportunity to like back up before they counterattacked. But yeah, that was the like. Am I misremembering, Colin? Was there a way that the warrior had to slow besides enchanted weapons?
no, maybe
Warrior
the war
should have
cry.
gone slow, because that made it a lot more interesting navigating groups of enemies and juking and all that.
Yeah, like maybe the war cry had a minimal slow, but I don't think it did. So I don't think they had anything solid to do that with.
Warcry is slow. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Actually, I don't know shit. I'm just talking.
I'm just saying.
Hey,
The
it had
only
a
thing
slow.
I remember it doing was making casters run away because you would silence them,
Yeah.
and they would
they're
just
like,
turn around and run.
Don't
But
kill
like,
me.
yeah, I never used it on non-casters, so I didn't really notice if it actually slowed them.
I'm gonna look it up.
Oh, is he going to become a Nox sweat? We're going to see Colin.
Yep.
At
I
Nox
usually
finals.
always pick warriors in games like this. Like I've always been that type where I just like the idea of like some dude who's like so buff that like it doesn't matter that these people have magic, he's just gonna beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, it's that
Like-
Conan archetype. It's that power fantasy. I personally like I think a power fantasy is playing a wizard is that you just melt anything that gets close to you, but that definitely wasn't fulfilled playing a wizard. It sounds like your power fantasy wasn't fulfilled playing a warrior. So that's
Not
kind
even
of
close.
unfortunate too.
Not even
That's like-
close.
Instantly killed by one fireball. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's some games that make you feel like a beast. This one certainly did not.
Then you end the game in your T-shirt again or whatever, and then you
Yeah.
guys got.
You're just wishing you had that plate of bacon back in your trailer.
I mean, apparently
You could've been
Warrior
eating bacon.
ended up with the bacon. Meanwhile, Conjurer, I
Yeah.
don't know, and Wizard got
You got the bacon.
the
you know what I'm
light
saying?
side. Yeah, I got the light side bacon.
Uh-huh.
That was the kid. Never mind.
I feel like we've unfortunately battered most of the game's
Yeah.
systems for this
What a game!
this single player. So you guys think ready for closing thoughts?
Sure.
Colin, your game. I'll let you start it off, or you can pick who you want to go. Oh my God, what are you posting?
Oh,
the
it's-
wizard
it's-
spells.
Yeah, I'm just making fun of the warrior skill list there compared to the rest of the cast. Yeah, no, I say this every time and then I don't keep it short, but I'm actually gonna try to keep it short. I think I want to give this. I'm trying to make amends for Croc because I gave it too high a score. I want to give the single player campaign of this, and I'm trying to qualify it because the single player fucking sucks. I'm gonna give it like a 5. It's like a Clock Tower ass experience.
What does that mean?
with
What do you mean?
I mean, Clock Tower blows, and so does this. Night Manor is way better, and you know it.
Night Manor fucked.
Yeah, dude. Night Manor's sick. Okay, shit. So, but again, qualifying because I think the multiplayer, from a even with the scuffed ass game we got here as inconsistent and multiple different visions sort of clashing together in the middle. The multiplayer is still the juice. It's still the spirit and the soul of the game. You go back to the dude's original idea of it being like a fast-paced, strategic, sort of wizard dueling game. That's what it was supposed to be, like 1v1 wizard dueling, and it got lost along the way. I think that looking at what the multiplayer is and people's initial reactions to it when it came out, they compared it to like fast-paced and lethal like Quake. I think that's super cool. I would have loved to experience it in the time, but I was like just a kid and would have been trash at it. So I still would be trash at it now because let's be honest. But so I think it would be cool to experience that, but I don't think I ever will, and that's okay. I actually really liked the art design on the whole, but pretty much everything about actually playing the game was not so great. Sort of got pretty annoying over time. So anyway, I'm ultimately disappointed, but I'm really glad we got to talk about it. Really glad I came back to it and got to play it. So thanks for the ride.
Woo!
Thank you for picking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an experience.
Fun to fucking
was.
rag on bad games too. Like, even if nobody really enjoyed it that much, I think it was super enjoyable to talk about and vent about. So
Oh,
it's
of
a good
course.
experience overall.
Absolutely.
I'll go next. It was kind of eye-opening to replay this one because, like I said, in my memory, I did enjoy it, and in my head, I just had, oh yeah, Nox, that was a good game. Good game. Definitely don't think the same anymore. Like controls like shit, clunky UI, and all the numerous problems that we went over for the past 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'll give it a rating. The rating is horrendous.
Nice.
Damn, when it
I see
gets
what you
Very
did
good.
the single word from Chris, at least lore accurate.
Also potentially obnoxious. Hello? Yeah? No? Okay.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, woo! Okay, I'll go next. Yeah, so like I found the game clunky. I found like if there's anything to salvage everything that we've already talked about, it was like the humor was kind of funny, the art was good. But besides that, yeah, it's lackluster RPG experience, really repetitive and annoying gameplay that didn't feel dynamic or really personally influenced by me, which is definitely not what I want in an RPG. But then again, that being said, I also do want to consider that I basically played the unintended way that the game was, I guess, like built around. So I want to like recognize that in the score I give it. Just kind of like looking at, I originally was unsure about, scoring things, but I'm glad because now I can kind of like be like, okay, I like this or dislike this kind of between these two games. I would say that I enjoyed it more than Perfect Dark, but I would say that I probably didn't enjoy it as much as Crusader of Senti. So I'm gonna give it probably a 5.5. I'm thinking.
Nice.
I'm gonna need somebody to go before I do because I'm still recovering from both saying he enjoyed this more than Perfect Dark. So I'm gonna need a minute.
That's
It's
fucked
fine.
up, right? It's true though.
I'll go next, and in the meantime, Danny, you can think about how it compares to Final Fantasy Tactics. Anyways, yeah. like I said earlier, like when I first started playing this, it was fun. Like I played this game in large chunks. Like that's one thing I will give this game. It was easy to sit and play it for a long time, even though it was obnoxious. Like it didn't like physically wear me down like some certain games felt like they did, anyways. Like Drawn to Life, man. Like I had to put that one down after a while. Like it was exhausting. But this one, I just because of how simple it was, like I like kind of turned my brain off and just sit there and click on enemies, which is what I did for the entire campaign. I'm glad I picked Warrior, even though it seems like it was the worst class to play by far. Not just like in terms of how good the effect of the class is, just fun in general. I like games like this. I love the Diablo games. And I thought at first, oh, this is just going to be like a simpler Diablo that's more like action oriented, which is fine. But it never really fully leaned into any, like it never seemed to commit to any of its mechanics or aspects. Like it was always unsure of itself. It's like, should I do this? Well, I'll do it a little, I guess. I had fun overall. Like it wasn't an overall negative experience. I'm glad I played it. And if I had to give it a number out of 10, I'd give it a 5.75. Not quite a 6. It's fighting real hard though to get to that 6, but it didn't quite make it.
It tried.
Not quite as good as Final Fantasy Tactics.
Not quite.
And, it was funny when I finished this game, and I closed the program for the last time on my computer. A thought popped into my head. I thought to myself, this was kind of like playing isometric Faxanadu.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I
the
felt
second
like
coming.
that was a great way to like kind of sum up the whole experience. Like they're like there's those plants that you walk into that poison you.
Oh no, I touched poison.
I touched poison.
I would definitely play that game over this one.
Yeah,
I
probably
don't know.
me too. But yeah, that's
Fucking hell
my,
now, dude.
that's my takeaway, my final thought.
All right, Holden, would you like to go or I can go?
Sure, I'll go quick. I think so. The score is directly based off of Conjurer single player. As much as I looked into the multiplayer, I'm basing it off of my experience. Even just hearing you guys, I'm trying to keep that bias out. But there was decent enough, and just by dangling by a thread, enough tuning with the economy and my player experience that there was a pretty strong level of engagement that I was really fascinated with, where I was actually flexing different mechanics, whether it be traveling through a town or fighting enemies and reloading saves. I was never at a brick wall. I was trying new things. There was really good, not really good, but in the context of my experience, there was enough variety. Again, the engagement was high, but it had terrible shortcomings. And even despite my nicer experience than your guys's with Conjure, I give this a super generous 6 out of 10.
That's
I thought you were gonna rate it higher.
Yeah, when you said super generous, I started sweating a little bit. And I was like, oh god, I'm about to get a 7.5. But no, it's I think what stung me the most, and I think Super, you said the same. Like when the game started, you were like, "Ooh, cool!" Like where's this going? Or if that was Darth, like I was excited to see where it was going, and then it didn't go. It didn't, and it like it's not like it tried. And this is speaking from the wizard side, where it just threw a bunch of spells at you, and then the possibility of leveling them up, but nothing like super definitive to like do that. It's like, did you find the spell? Did you have the money to pay for the spell? And that just made that like that system that could have been cool suck. and it was just so many missteps. It was weird. It was kind of like a junk food game. This was definitely what Super said. Turning it on, it was kind of a lot of the time mindless. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run around the circle, shoot fireballs, and like I'll reload my save. Like, it never really put up a fight. Like, so I think I finished it in like 3 sittings. Like, I think I just did like 3 chapters, 4 chapters, and just beat it. And like, I guess I wouldn't say I like super enjoyed my time, but it wasn't so bad that I was like, oh fuck, here we go, I gotta suffer through this. But just all the like not fun. Like, never once when I was playing it beyond like the beginning intro did I think, man, I'm having a good time, like I'm having fun. It was just like, yeah, I guess, like I'm playing this. And then hearing that what we were playing is not what it was intended to be, and like a lot of stuff because of what it being what it wasn't intended to be made it worse. It's just it stings. Like, I feel bad for the game. Like, I feel bad for like the guy who had the original vision. I feel bad for like the people who maybe just come across this and have no idea about the multiplayer and are like, wow, look at this shitty not Diablo ARPG. It sucks. And that makes me feel bad, but I mean, I don't know, different universe. Maybe it was a pretty nasty single player game, but yeah, this is a solid 5 out of 10. Like, just kind of right in the middle. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything really enjoyable in my opinion. But I appreciate the pick. It was definitely kind of out of the realm of anything we've played. So it was a nice step into a new dimension, if you will. So I did enjoy the pick.
Just wait till the game I replace it with, which is going to be Crusader No Remorse, just for you.
Just wait until you see what game we might possibly get next, because we got some fucking bangers.
Did you give a number?
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Oh, pardon, I didn't hear.
Yeah.
So are we limiting this to just
Chris,
one person?
it is just Chris. Chris has not gotten a game yet.
Simon's
Yep.
Quest.
So
Bring it on. Bring it
Terrible
on.
game to play for book club.
yeah, what a terrible game to have for a book club. So let me bring up. This is gonna be a little bit ghettofied because of how I have to do this.
I did add one game to the list, which is Metal Gear Solid Snake.
Yes, which
The MSX one?
Yes.
Okay.
This Metal Gear 2.
Good.
Wow, that is
I mean,
a
it's a
scary
game.
wheel.
It is a scary wheel.
This is a wheel of wheels. It's full
Nobody react. Nobody.
We're gonna full screen this thing. We're gonna do it for the fans.
The heck is going on with this wheel?
All right, so on this wheel is Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Metal Gear 2, Solid Snake 2, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and Resident Evil, the original PS1, 1996. So there's 2 of these games. Okay, let me say there's 2 of these games that might be a very, very interesting book club. And that is all I will say. All right, it's time to spin that wheel.
Wheel.
No spoilers. No.
Oh, so I literally
So
had to mute my
close.
mic so I didn't spoil and say, "Oh, thank God."
Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank
It's always
God.
the weird. Why is it always like the weird fucking like nobody's? Well, I mean, maybe you guys have heard of this
Oh
game.
yeah,
but it's like,
I've heard of
no.
it.
This is a popular series.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, I've
heard
played
of
this
the
one.
series before. I just think it's funny every time I feel like the wheel. It's never like, or at least it feels very rarely that I actually really know what. Like, there's like those 3 other games. I'm like, I know what these games are, but this one I don't really know much about, and it feels like that always happens. Maybe because I'm a baby. I don't know.
Yeah,
Wait,
yeah. This game and the second one, what is it? Soul Reaver just got remasters.
I don't think this one. It's
Oh,
Yeah.
They just did the second one.
yeah, because this one's not a 3D game. This is top down.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
interesting. Yeah. No,
Indeed.
this will be interesting. This is a
Oh,
game I've always heard about but never actually played. Holden?
Oh, I mean, this is for more later, but I totally recommend PC over PS1 version for this. That's all.
I was gonna ask. So PC.
Mm.
I'm happy
So,
with that.
is it one of those hard to run games on PC?
Well, it's on GOG, so
So it's not.
It was better
yeah,
than Nox in
no,
my
I'm saying it's
experience.
going to be a luck of the draw because it's a 1996 game.
Fuck. Not again. Oh my god, not again.
Yeah, who knows? I might end up playing the PSX one just for easier capture, but that's a me problem. And then I'm gonna shit all over it if it's an inferior version. So get owned, Holden.
PS1 version sucks ass, loading screens, all sorts of stuff.
All right, no, I will try my best to do Windows, but that is our next game. So this is gonna be for June, like early June, or we, because we're kind of late into May, like how we.
Yeah, I'm good to do it June. It's fine by me, but yeah.
Well, yeah, like early, mid, whatever.
Okay.
Sure.
Play it by ear.
All right. Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Always will. And speaking of always will and always do, always have a wonderful time with you, lovely, lovely gentlemen, discussing these games, whether they be good or bad. Sometimes in the middle. I think with this, we kind of ended up not clock towering it. Clock tower sucks. But it was also not a certified hood classic. But it was a really good discussion. I like this because we were all just kind of being mean.
Yeah, we didn't have to worry about anyone's feelings getting hurt because we all felt the same way.
Except mine.
Okay, well maybe yours a little bit.
Colin's a little bit. Do it for Colin.
But you came in with the similar sentiment at least, right? Right?
Yeah. No. You're
Okay,
absolutely right.
Okay.
I hope I didn't over do it with like the background and well, yeah. The
No, not at
developer.
all.
No,
No,
we
not
needed
at all.
that.
No,
This
that's cool
game
insight.
needed that. Yeah.
Yeah, without that interesting information, this would have just been us being like, yeah, this sucks. All right, anyways.
What went
Yeah.
wrong?
Game sucks.
Like,
Everybody go
yeah.
home.
I don't know that it should have impacted my score, but it did impact mine. Because I care about that stuff. So
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
dev history is interesting in general, and then this game is specifically super interesting.
Slightly
fuck
tragic.
you, EA.
Yeah. That's the take-home lesson of today's
There
episode.
goes our sponsorship. Great,
Fuck you,
thanks.
EA.
My
Yeah, now
bad.
we're not
Wait.
going to be extra DLC in the new Sim City. Oh no.
Oh shit.
All right. Well, Darth, Holden, Super, Colin, Chris, thank you for joining me. Thank you for discussing Nox. February, what was it, 16th, 2000 release. Looking forward to our next game, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, 1996. We're going back in time.
Oh yeah.
See you then.
Thanks for
Goodbye.
having
Yeah.
Thanks, homies.
See ya.
Farewell.
And then everybody, always in the live studio audience, thank you for joining us as well. Hope you guys have as much fun hanging out, listening as we do playing and discussing. And yeah, we'll see you in June for Blood Omen.